conversations are constructive conversations. There's some common DNA. The common DNA is they focus on fact as opposed to feelings and any sort of conjecture. Feelings and conjecture get us in trouble. In my professional life, I'm a communications coach. I work for some of the largest organizations here in Atlanta. Some of them sell soda, others of them sell hammers. Some of them drive trains up and down the Eastern Seaboard. So I'm talking with those executives quite frequently, and it just occurs to me that there's been this universal trend that I don't know if we've really appreciated and how it impacts tref. Now, I have some confessions. First, I am not a tref investor. I am not. Second, I have no formal or informal relationship with tref. I don't have a dog in the race. If my man's lying and he's a scammer, then y'all need to get it. But if he's telling the truth and he's working through this in your best interest, you should at least give him your ear so you can make your own determination. That's all we're asking. You make your own determination. Now, I'm going to do my best to moderate. And all that means is we're going to set up a mic over here. And anyone who has any concerns or questions or issues they'd like to have the man himself address, you're more than welcome to come get lined up over here at the mic, and we'll get that part of the evening going. Now, I don't know if you're ready to do that yet.
Not yet. I'd like to go through some of the FAQs we've already received from everyone. We heard you. And after that, if anyone has additional questions to compound, that's what we're here for. We're literally here for it. So our Tulsa Real Estate Fund Town Hall FAQs. I'm going to read some verbatim questions that were popularized through social media. So first and foremost, there's a big question about, did I buy my personal residence with the fund's money? Right? That was a big accusation. And the question was, do you, Jay Morrison, own 3900 DeMooney Road? And the answer is yes, I do. My address is now out there. I, my family, we own 3900 DeMooney Road. The next question was, who owns the LLC, the company 3900 DeMooney LLC? 3900 DeMooney LLC is a wholly owned, 100% owned subsidiary of the Tulsa Real Estate Fund. Another question was, explain the 6 West and 6 West 2. Do these represent 3878 DeMooney and 3900 DeMooney Road, right? If you guys look right here to my left, that development is what we call legacy preserves. That is the 32-acre development that we, our fund, has 32 acres of site control on DeMooney Road. And I'm going to expound and get into more of that in just a moment. So this development we call 6 West, I want to read to you guys a thesis. I'm going to slow it down. I'm going to break it down. We're going to stick to the facts. This 6 West development was the initial name of the development. The goal is to secure an interest in 32 acres of land from one owner in the vicinity of the 6 West 1.5 billion College Park mixed-use development that broke ground on October 2020. DeMooney 6 West acquisition is just 10 miles from the 6 West development, 12 miles from the world's busiest airport, Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport, and 12 miles from tref's corporate headquarters and our flagship asset, the Legacy Center. The 6 West master plan was approved in August 2019 and anticipates up to 3 million square feet of Class A office space, up to 6 hotels, 548,000 square feet of retail, restaurants and shopping, 450 residential units, including apartments, townhomes, single-family homes, senior living, plus additional mixed-use space. That's not our development. It's the development in which our development is about 10 miles from. This is the $1 billion 6 West development here in Atlanta. The fund's opportunity to seize control of this prime real estate near 6 West creates an opportunity to refi, flip, subdivide, or develop the property at a profit. What I'm reading to you all is our thesis going into this investment, not our post-investment thesis, but going into this. This was our mindset. The term was to be a refi. As far as our exit was either to refi, to flip, to subdivide and sell, a long-term hold to develop through agriculture, or a long-term hold to develop a master plan rental community. The fund maintains land ownership and look at affordable or attainable housing. The optional quick exit strategy of an immediate refi or flip allow the fund to mitigate transactional risk and capture better near-term returns that currently achieve with money in money markets accounts, currently at less than 2%. So when a fund has capital sitting in a bank, it's earning less than 2%, even in our sweep accounts. And so the opportunity was to acquire this land and this development, be able to earn more, significantly more than what it's earning in a bank, while still maintaining control of the land and the asset. By acquiring all 32 acres, the fund was able to negotiate a below market purchase price, creating instant equity for the fund at the closing table. A $25,000 to $50,000 profit within 60 days would be equivalent to a 15 to 30% ROI annualized, outperforming our money market accounts and secured by land and asset situated in a appreciating property market. In addition to the quick exit options, at the time, the fund was simultaneously vetting the long-term investment options and partnerships in affordable housing, agritourism, and other models of monetization and optimization, while remaining mindful of the fund's cash position, financial trends, and reserves. I'll break that down a little bit in just a second, right? I want to make sure it's very, very plain, very clear. Question: did you buy 3900 DeMooney, South Fulton, on July 27th, 2022 for $850,000 through 3900 DeMooney LLC? No, I didn't. The fund purchased the property. In July, family, of July 27th of 2022, the fund 100% purchased through the subsidiary 3900 DeMooney LLC, purchased 32 acres of land near 12 miles from here and near the 6 West development. It was not me. The fund did. Question: why did you sell in August? Why did you sell it on August 19th, 2022 to South Fulton Rental Group LLC for $0? This question is not accurately phrased question. It highlights the danger behind making uninformed allegations without having the facts. So the facts are that the property was sold by tref for $875,764.85 that netted the fund a $25,000 gain on the sale in under 60 days. So let me just kind of expound on that. The fund acquired this 32 acres development, right, with not the strongest capital position. What we need, this prime real estate and this development right here, this opportunity to continue to grow our mission of this micro city and multi-use development. So in August and into September, we restructured the financing of this asset and got the fund a profit of nearly 3%, a $25,000 profit in under 60 days, which is equivalent to a 13% ROI and profit. And the fund maintained exclusive development rights of this land in perpetuity for life. So the fund has 5 acres of land it owns free and clear, right? A part of this assemblage. And 27 acres the fund has exclusive development rights for 27 years. And all this is documented in our purchase contract. Question: why don't we see 3900 DeMooney as the company listed in the 2022 1SA, right? The 1SA is our semi-annual audit. 3900 DeMooney LLC doesn't appear in the 2022 1SA because the 2022 1SA only covers the first 6 months of the year, of the fiscal year, which is prior to the formation of the company in July 2023. In fact, the primary reason the DeMooney transaction is cited on the 2022 1SA at all is because we have a duty to disclose it because it's a material subsequent event. A sophisticated investor will be expected to know this. So guys, when we're questioned that Demuni asset or Demuni LLC doesn't show in the audit as if it was some kind of secret or hidden thing, it's labeled. It's not labeled as a subsidiary of tref because we haven't gotten to our 2022 audit to be able to present it to you as what it is, a company under tref. This is all contract. This is all in contract. This is all documented. This is all from over a year ago. This exists. When we rush to judgment or have miscommunications, we can make these dangerous allegations. Further, because the 1SA does not cover the actual financial period that the 6 West transaction occurred, in the transaction is summarized at the subsequent event section of the financials. Conversely, per GAAP accounting procedures, the details of this transaction are and will be provided in the 2022 audit in 1K, which is our annual audit, for the financial period ending on December 31st, 2022. This is not to say a natural function of accounting that 3900 Demuni LLC will be listed in our 2023 1K filing. So question, South Fulton Rental Group LLC is anonymous, started in New Mexico on August 4th of 2022. Do you, meaning me, do I, have ownership stake in South Fulton Rental Group LLC? Yes, I do. I have ownership stake in South Fulton Rental Group LLC. That is the company that restructured the financing for tref, got tref all of its capital back, plus $25,000 of profit in under 60 days, a 13 plus a 16% annualized IRR, and got tref the full 32 acres or the 27 acre portion of development rights in perpetuity. I want to break that down even simpler. Tulsa Fund, our family property, which was acquired by South Fulton Rental Group in contract, allowed tref to make a $25,000 profit in under 60 days, getting tref's all of its capital back, plus a 13 and 16% annualized IRR on its funds, while contractually and factually giving tref exclusive development rights to the 27 acres in perpetuity for lifetime. So tref got 32 acres for the price of 5 acres. Tref paid $150 for 5 acres, but walked away with 32 acres to develop, plus 25,000 in profits in under 60 days. I just want to say it again, because I don't want to be a fast talker or any of that. I want to be a slow talker. Tulsa Real Estate Fund has exclusive development rights for lifetime of the 27 acres of Demuni that my family acquired through South Fulton Rental Group to give tref the exclusive development rights to put together the vision we all said of building a Black Wall Street, a micro city, a mixed-use development, while tref only had to bear the cost of 5 acres, and while we bear the carrying cost of the taxes, of the upkeep, of the insurance, of all the carrying costs of the development, tref has all the development rights to this property, plus made $25,000 profit in under 60 days. That's what I want to make just very, very crystal clear to this family. Tref did not buy my family property. My family bought the property from tref, giving tref the development rights and 27 acres to develop free exclusively, and tref earned profits on top of that over market value. Let's see. So it talked about Demuni, yes, or South Fulton Rental Group. I also want to underscore the merits of this transaction, which I just said, right? The funds gains, 25,000, et cetera, of this prime real estate, just 10 miles from the airport in this major development. So there was a question, Jay, why the New Mexico LLC was formed, right? Why New Mexico LLC was formed? Mexico chiefly is a matter of tax strategy, but also for security. So to explain to you, as a fund manager and for my family being victims of harassment, victims of just what most of you guys know, and even threats at our home. We have multiple documented threats death threats on my wife, death threats on our child, death threats on me. For family security and safety reasons, our property address had anonymity, and that was desired. It's important to remember that it had been less than 2 years since our personal property was invaded, and the life of my wife and my daughter were threatened. So yes, for legitimate security reasons, we did so. And the fund did not want to make a public personal living address of the fund manager. To restate, the motivating factor of anonymity was family security, not secrecy. Right? We're disclosing the development. It's been online. We're disclosing the development. You guys all need to know about it. We'll know about it. It's in our filing. You all have seen our home attacked. You all have seen us harassed. Like, I'm a father. I'm a husband. And we're literally doing something for our people. And literally, like, I'm offering to the movement because I want the movement to win. I didn't do this out of personal interest. You don't give 27 acres of exclusive development rights away for personal interest. You don't pay $25,000 over market value for an asset for personal interest. That's not personal interest, right? Why would I give the fund $25,000 over market value and give the fund exclusive development rights to develop this asset for my personal interest? It's for our collective interest. These are the facts. And yes, there was anonymity around it, not publicly, which is already out there now. So God protect us, because people want to put our address out and think that it's some kind of game or joke when I'm trying to protect my family. And you guys have seen my house already online and pulled up on. How would you feel about that if that was you? How would you handle it? If someone posted your house multiple times online, your family online, when you already got death threats. That's not for secrecy to hide from you guys. That's why I'm here tonight. Doing things in the best interest of the fund. Let's go. I'm going to get through these. Thank you guys for listening and bearing with me. We will open it for Q&A. Okay, why no board of directors? The company is an emerging company. It's too small and too early for a board of directors. We do like, and we have pursued assembling a board of advisors. In fact, we have been pursuing this for some time. We've even asked our outsourced HR firm to recruit candidates. That said, the vitriol and personal attacks made upon the fund and its personnel have deferred several qualified candidates from fully considering an advisory board seat. We continue to pursue a board of advisors and plan at least to have one tref partner to serve as a partner representative on the advisory board. Just to expound, when we launched this fund, an attack started day 3 from launching this fund, and then 6 months in, the SEC and FBI investigation. I can show you email receipts in 2016 in our business plan trying to solicit advisors and partners. I literally had a whole webinar about it. And people didn't believe in the idea at first, and they didn't want to be involved. And then many people said, like even Dr. Boyce Watkins, I talked to him. I talked to Rashad from Earn Your Leisure. I talked to T.I., hip hop star, and all of them said, you're crazy for doing that. I would never do something like that. I would never risk my reputation for something like that. So whether I go to the hip hop community, I go to the social conscious community, I go to, and then when you have a cloud around you where like some people will be bold enough to partner and join with us, but many people look at the scrutiny around our phone with one Google search and they walk away. It's very hard to recruit people to be allies and to be on your advisory board when their homes could be online, when they could be called a scam or a fraud with no proof, no evidence, and jump to conclusions. When someone can say to them, no matter what happens tonight, we're still going to criminalize you, no matter what you say. With those kind of conclusions, it's very dangerous to partner with us. Right? This is the reality of the fund. But we will pursue an advisory board. I agree. We just should be an advisory board. I 100% agree. It helps me out, helps us out. What about the legacy center being owned debt-free? With the large investment the fund has made in establishing the legacy center and stabilizing it, we saw opportunity to tap into the property's appreciated equity to complete phase 2 of the renovation plan. Remember, our renovation plan was paused during COVID. At the time of the refinance, completion of phase 2 had been critically important for the execution of our business plan to leverage the unique format of the building, including having 25,000 square feet of temperature-controlled space under one roof and ample access to parking, becoming a leading culturally dipped Class A events venue and media production space in the greater South Atlanta, which has become known as the Film Triangle. With the growing number of sound stages, production studios, skilled labor base, in close proximity to the Atlanta airport. So you guys see the evidence of it. We're continuing the mission. If the Legacy Center has equity, and we can complete the Legacy Center to make the most out of our business model and perform and stabilize it, this is our cash flow, it's our cash burn neutralizer. I learned early in the fund, this fund is way heavier to operate than anyone would think from the outside in, even other fund managers. If you haven't done this, I'm not talking about a Reg D fund, I'm not talking about a CF fund or another kind of fund, I'm talking about this fund. If you have not done this, you would not understand the operational heaviness of this fund. So I learned early that we needed a cash burn neutralizer, some kind of asset that could produce cash fast monthly to subsidize our burn. So we're not constantly declining in burn. And so that asset was launched on January 8th of 2020. We were excited about it. 3,000 people at our grand opening, a full business plan in the co-working space, billion-dollar industry, and we walked 45 days into a global pandemic. And then coming out of that pandemic, we had to pivot the model and go heavy into the event space portion of it, which we're now stabilizing. We have over a 230% cash on revenue increase since last year. We just hired an events venue manager who has 27 years with the Hilton brand. He managed Hilton Disney. He opened a Hilton Brave Stadium with a $41 million development, Mr. Greg. We have a top tier hotelier and hospitality venue leader leading our venue right now. We also have hired a new sales team that has over 40 venues in their portfolio. We're stabilizing this asset as our flagship asset to minimize our cash burn, right? As we stabilize and then scale this asset into the future of Legacy Center franchises throughout the country and throughout the diaspora. That's been the vision. I said it at our last investor day. This is what we're doing here, right? That's the vision, that's the plan, and we're putting the right team and investment around that. A State of the Union, okay. A State of the Union was cute, but where's the updated SEC filings? I won't even have to read this. I'll just tell you guys why our SEC filings were nearly a year behind is because there's a frauder named E.J. Hawkins, who was one of our syndication partners on our 98 units in Macon, Georgia. He defrauded the fund, and we had to sue him, and we won a judgment against him for defrauding the fund as a JV partner. He was not submitting his financials to us as we were chasing him down. And when we don't get our financials from our JV partners, we can't submit and complete our audits. Like we can't just force it. We can have all our paperwork together, but if we don't have one JV partner's paperwork, we can't complete our audits. So our audits have been over a year behind as we sued this guy, one of our other lawsuits, and won against him, won a judgment against him, someone who truly defrauded the fund. If anyone who was reading our SEC filing, as opposed to making conclusive statements about me, would have looked, they would have saw it was actually someone who really did defraud the fund that no one's saying anything about, that no one's putting any energy towards. Why is his face and address not posted online? The guy we actually have a judgment against who owes all of us. He owes us, but no one's saying nothing about it. We're making conclusive statements about someone who's looking for the best interest of our fund. But that's why our audits were incomplete. And you guys can double check that and verify that with your experts. I'm telling you, it's the facts. That's accounting facts. You cannot complete your audit till your syndication partners submit their financials. Question: what is the employee compensation by year? On family, we do not disclose our staff's personal information and salaries, right? If you were working here, you wouldn't want your salary disclosed to the entire world for somebody to manipulate online and post. We don't do that. But in our Investor Day presentation, we'll go deeper into the numbers. But what I will say upon these salaries and financials, there are not secret companies, secret businesses, secret related parties that get compensation from the fund that's related to me. That's not the case. Or I know it's always implied, but that is not the case. I will also say we account for all labor paid for by the fund, including outstanding contractors, employees of working for subsidiaries at part-time help to allow for sufficient analysts of labor at a comparable rate of overall expenses. Still, for even more legit insight, we are going through our labor subcategories in our 2022 1K. So we finish this next audit, which we now are soon to finish. We'll have our investor day, guys, and we'll go through everything like we do every single investor day, right? What is the GMA marketing detail? Again, we will not provide unaudited numbers at this level of detail prior to filing financials with the SEC. That's always been our practice. We don't just spew out unaudited numbers that can be manipulated, skewed, that we can't stand on. We finish our audits. We complete third-party independent auditors. They don't work for us. They're not swayed by us. These are third-party CPAs and third-party auditors who are unbiased. And if you look, the last 4 years, we've had audits with no irregularities. These are independent contractors who are experts at audits, not an Instagram audit, but the actual CPA and third-party audit. For the full year of 2021, just so you guys know, for the full year of 2021, our advertising was 6% of our G&A in marketing. Labor was 70%. As stated above, additional labor cost details we provided during our Investors Day presentation after filing our audited financials with the SEC. We have no problem doing that, as we always have. A question: our G&A in marketing has gone up from $257,000 in 2019, $756,000 in 2020, but $929,000 in 2021, and $1.4 million in 2022, mainly due to staffing. Isn't the management fee supposed to cover the team? If not, who exactly is on the management team and who is on staff? No, the 5.5% management fee does not cover the operational of the team of the Legacy Center or the tref operations, which is wholly owned by tref. A full staff org chart will be provided during our investor day to provide additional details. 16 in our questions. Can you please show us the team, the titles, and their salaries? You should be able to pull up on a payroll, on ADP, or whatever HR management system you use right now. Show us an itemized list of expenses, vendors, since the category is so general. Please see our previous statements, right? You heard what I said. Again, an org chart will be provided during Investor Day to provide additional details. That said, there are certain industry relationships that we have secured that we would not disclose, and our employees' personal information we would not disclose. There's certain vendors and partners that we use, family, that we can't give to our competitors. We can't tell our competitors every vendor we use so they can hack our particular competitors. But I can assure you, there's not any related party to me. I know that this is about clarity. It's about confidence. Any related party to me is disclosed in our audits. So any of our partners or vendors, these are non-related parties to the manager, non-related parties to me. But we can't go around disclosing people's salaries, but the details of this will be given during our investor day. How much have you paid your wife, Mrs. Ernestine Morrison, directly or indirectly as a consultant through a business entity such as tref, Tulsa Founders, etc.? She is listed on the website as chief communication officers. So years ago, we launched the fund. My wife has not received compensation in the fund for 3 years. When we launched the fund, my wife is a successful business owner who had several dozen relationships that she brought into the fund as investors, as partners. She helped curate events, curate our marketing, our branding. She helped us early on in the fund stages and received just a very fair wage of compensation for doing so. And that was also disclosed. My wife has not received the compensation in 3 years. We're not double dipping. We're not using the fund as our piggy bank. We're not doing any of these things. That's not our heart. That's not our intention. That's not how we move. That's not what's going on. And all that is documented. As co-founder, Mrs. Ernestine, she's a co-founder of the company, though. When I met her, she wasn't my wife. She wasn't even my girlfriend. We were just business. It was a business arrangement. And she said, I have 36 NFL clients and other relationships on roster, and I can help bring attention to the fund. Our community garden is named after Pro Bowler and Super Bowl champion Demaryius Thomas. Demaryius Thomas invested $10,000 as an NFL superstar. Rest in peace, he passed away recently. That was Ernestine Morrison's relationship she brought to the fund, as well as many other $10,000 investors who matched Demaryius Thomas during that time. That was her job in the fund, and she did very well at doing so. But in that spirit, we can state Mrs. Ernestine Morrison has not been paid directly or indirectly for any services for the past 3 years. Question 18, and I'm done, y'all. We'll go to Q&A. A dividend, the question is, a dividend is a distribution of profits by a corporation to its shareholders. On February 12, 2021, you elected to pay out a dividend of $391,428.24 to investors when there have never been any profits. Were you simply giving our money back to appease us or disguising it as a dividend? Was that a attempt to deceive? Actually, above definition of dividend is incorrect and is a common misconception or misinterpretation when pulling definitions from Wikipedia and the internet. Applied knowledge knows that a dividend can be paid from distributable cash, debt, or other sources of reserves. I'm going to say it again. A dividend can be paid from distributable cash you have, even from debt. There's companies that get debt, get loans to pay dividends, or from your profits or other sources of revenue. Meaning, depending on the corporate structure and terms, a company can authorize a dividend payment during periods of financial loss if they elect to do so. Specifically the tref, dividend payment. We paid the dividend from distributable cash that was received from the sale of a collateralized property obtained by the fund after a loan/borrower or developer defaulted on their loan, as documented in the paperwork you received along with your dividend check. Mind you, there's over $75,000 of dividend checks never cashed yet. We have $75,000 that we can't invest, that we can't put to operational use, that has not even been cashed from dividend payments. But as documented in your paperwork you received along with the dividend check, the dividend was a distribution, not a return to capital as implied above. Again, we're going to open up for Q&A, but I want to go over some of those FAQs and just hit head on. There's no misappropriation. There is no corruption. There is no any of those things being done by our fund. But I will open up for Q&A. I want to tackle some of the most popular things head on. King Bo, I'm going to ask you to open and suggest, and let's get the clarity and let's get what we came for.
I'm sitting here and I'm listening to you, Doc, and where's the conversation about the impact of COVID? And I bring that up because I told you guys earlier that I had 3 questions for you, and I never got to the third question. The third question is anyone in here, have you already made up your mind? Does anybody already know what they're going to believe when they leave this evening? Does anybody know that? I hope not, because the intent is to learn something. The intent is for you to ask the questions you need to ask in the way that you need to ask them to get to some level of comfort. Now, I probably shouldn't disclose this, but I coach King J in communications. And part of the reason that he wanted me here is that he knows I've got a penchant for clear and constructive communication. I've got a very real passion for that. And he knows that I'll hold all of you accountable to professional decorum. He knows that I'll hold you all accountable to some clarity and to stay away from the emotional parts of it, the feeling of it. And let's get to the facts. Now, he knows I'll hold you all accountable, but the real reason I'm here is because he knows I'll hold him accountable. He knows that I'm not going to let him off with any real easy kind of stuff. He won't get to be emotional. I'm here to check that. He won't get to extrapolate, right? To get into his feelings, because we want to talk about facts. Now, anyone who has any questions, anything that you'd like to get addressed tonight, I'd appreciate it if you come over to the mic. I'm going to put this mic up here for you, and you guys are welcome to bring your questions. Yes, sir.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Larry Thomas, Brother Jay, and I'm from Albany, Georgia. I call myself a first-tier investor into the Tulsa real estate fund. I made that decision 5 years ago because I had confidence in a brother like you trying to make a difference with Black people. I'm not rich. I earn everything I have. I'm a self-made man. I invested $20,000 in this fund. Now, I did that because I didn't see nowhere else that I could do 8% return on my money. My wife invested, my daughter, and my son-in-law. And they convinced me, and after listening to some of the all the things that were going around, I invested that money. Now, we got the dividends. I have not one time over the last 5 years tried to criticize and even keep a tough eye on what's been going on with tref. I get the emails, I catch some of the shows that you do and try to keep up like that. But for me, I invested that 20 in a long-term possibility. But now we are 5 years down the road, and the only reason I'm here tonight, me and my wife drove up from Albany because I've heard these same questions that you just sit here and answer. My email that I sent out to my investor family, I said that I'm coming up to the Legacy Center because I've heard these different allegations put out here. And I came tonight to give you an opportunity to address these different concerns that we have. Now, you one by one address most of these allegations that I've already read myself and whatnot, and I think you did a good job for it. But my main focus right now, because most of the things that we discuss in situations like this, and let me say this, I am a retired chief appraiser in Albany-Dougherty County. I'm vice chair of the land bank in Albany-Dougherty County and vice chair of the Board of Tax Assessors. So I'm familiar with real estate to some degree. I invest myself and whatnot. And I am a self-made millionaire. But the whole focus right now is that you got situations where transparency is the key. And as a manager of a fund like this, you got to keep transparency at the highest level you can. Because starting out as a Black man trying to do something like this, you already knew that at some point you were going to come across this crossroad with this situation like this. I'm sure you did. So hopefully you can start to doing the thing. Right now, we need to look at where are we now? Now, I was familiar with the fact that we got about $4 million in real estate property. The development right there, now I want to be sure about that. That was just vacant land, the 30 million. This legacy development reserve.
Yes, it's one residential home on a property that my family owns.
Okay.
The land of 27 acres is contributed to the fund in perpetuity for lifetime for fund development. And there's 5 acres of vacant land for a total assemblage of 32 acres for the fund to develop. Over the last year, we've been going through this process of meeting with the city, meeting with Audit Jones, economic developer, going through just the phase 1 of the process, going through our civil, going through our surveys, topography, going through our performer, our site plan for this development to come to life for our fund.
Okay, and my main priority now is to come and get clarity, as you said, which I'm starting to get clarity.
Yes, sir.
But at the same time, this fund's got to go on and do what it was anticipated for it to do.
I agree.
You know, and so for everybody that's out here now, we got other properties. One of my concerns, I want to know what kind of cash flow are we getting on some of the other development. Now, the real estate market has been in a total upswing over the last few years. And you mentioned about COVID.
Yes.
And I agree with that wholeheartedly, because anything we look at right now, we got to discount a whole year and a half for COVID.
Mm-hmm.
That's the impact COVID made, not just in any one community, but in community all over the world. COVID made an impact. It slowed things down. But coming out of COVID, everything sped up at lightning speed. And what I want to see that Tulsa right now is moving in the direction to address the real estate opportunities, increasing valuations. Have we had seen increases in value of the current holding, real estate holding? What is the monthly cash flow, annual cash flow income and whatnot? And are we looking at, when we're looking at the fair market value of this real estate, all of these are income producing properties. So we ain't addressing these for the layman on just fair market value unless you are looking at it on an income approach. So if you ain't looking at the cap rate, looking at what income being produced, we might not have the appropriate fair market value of these properties. So I don't know if any kind of income analysis has been done on these current properties. Right now, if the legacy center is the primary focus of income, I agree. If you are utilizing it right now for entertainment or whatever it is, because it's got to be income. It's got to be a certain amount of income
100%.
being generated.
Divided by that cap rate.
That's right.
To make up market value.
That's right.
Yes,
That's
sir.
right. So these are the kind of things that I'm trying to look at right now. And
So,
if anything that
let me ask you this, Doc. Is there a specific question for this, man? I know you want transparency. I know you're looking for those numbers. Tell them what you want from me.
Yeah. What I want from you, Jay, is to move forward in addressing the long-term situation. You can waste a lot of time trying to debunk these allegations, right? The allegation been made. You appear to have addressed them tonight. What I want to see now is that you and this fund is moving forward with these potential and future development, because I still want my 8% return.
Yes, sir.
Right.
I want you to have it. I want mine too. 100%. So let me address that and kind of break down where we're at from a real estate perspective. And again, part of tonight was for my family's sake. Y'all don't understand. It's hard. Like, I don't want to disclose too much family business, and I'm sure online they'll twist it and say I'm tugging on your heartstrings and being emotional. I'm being factual here. It's hard as a man when my wife got to cry again. But you got to cry again about somebody talking about her and her reputation and her friends, and she's in a text group and they're snickering and sneering. That's very hard to figure out how to deal with, especially when it's unwarranted, right? When it's not professional courtesy and it's jumping to conclusions. And so tonight was a rush for me to get here. I wanted my team. I tried to force my team here. I couldn't get everybody here so y'all could see the team and the genius and all that. And we're doing an investor day. I had to do this as a husband tonight. I had to debunk this for my family. We don't steal, we don't thieve, we don't fraud, we don't misappropriate, period. Now to the fun piece, we're going to get into the full financials of Investor Day, but I do want to give everyone clarity that our path forward to progress, the fund needs to recapitalize. We know we got to do another capital raise. It's a must for us to thrive forward. We've been beat up, we've been hit. We have this legacy center asset that is valued at anywhere from $3 to $3.5 million, right? We are stabilizing fast, though. We've had some of our first 6-figure months here. We've had Amazon here. We've had Delta here. We've had Disney come a few times to see about the space. We are growing popularity. We have great management, great sales team, great process, and doing it through the storm. These assets on the wall, these 32 transactions or other transactions that we did, many of which in private lending, right? We funded 12 Black developers in 10 different states. We have our Mooney development right here, which we know we got to capitalize for, which has a great value add and upside within the fund. And these are before and after Legacy Center. So there's a lot of work to do to get to the long-term gains that we have to do as a fund. And I'm here to tell you guys that this is hard. It's been hard. I don't know it all, and I've been giving my best effort at doing this. And not only could we use group economics and capital and resource and relationship and partnership. You got something down in Auburn County. How can we work together? How can we partner? But it's very hard to pull together relationships. Like we had 150, I swear to you, we had 150 acres that someone was willing, they inherited from their father in South Carolina. She inboxed me. I hit her back. We're having a good flow. She's willing to develop the 150 acres and contribute the land to the fund. Her brother gets on a Zoom with us. He does one Google search and said no. That was so hard to make moves when every time somebody comes to look at the fund, there's an allegation of something for 5 years. I'm not trying to pull on heartstrings. I'm telling you the factual story. The third day, we had a $50 million raise goal. 50 million sounds way big. We raised 5 million in 3 days. I knew we were on our way to the vision God gave me. But in 3 days, the same people we were doing this for came at us in 2018. And it's never stopped since 2018. Somebody told their friend at the NFLPA, because they were a frat brother, hey, put out this warning about us. They sent out a warning about us before we even got to operate to every NFL player, past and present, and said, warning about this fund. How does that hurt our ability to perform? Then 6 months in, after many bloggers getting all their YouTube views up, every time they mention Tulsa Real Estate and Jay Morrison, they get their views up and they cash out on the monetization of YouTube. Then the SEC and FBI come. And it's hard to operate, and I'm not complaining, I'm reporting. I'm reporting to you because who else could tell you this experience living today? The only person that could tell you this experience of what it's like to do something at this level for Black people is not living, and his name is Marcus Garvey. And what was the history of him? What happened? He was ridiculed. They had a Garvey Must Go campaign. W.E. Du Bois and NAACP put a whole campaign about him, put him in newspapers that Garvey philosophies are fraudulent. And then he was investigated by the FBI, locked up and extradited. Yo, we repeat history again, yo. Like, I'm not saying I did it the best. I'm saying I did my best. I'm not saying that I'm you know, right? I'm saying that I could perform better. I need help. I'm working hard. I'm fighting through every obstacle that come my way. I'm trying to do it with dignity, grace, class, and transparency. That's why I ran here for this town hall. A scammer or frauder is not coming to tell you to ask every question. I'm opening myself up so we can have trust that I need your help. This is you have to take yourself out of focusing on me and put yourself in the shoes. And so I'm saying there's a much better job that we can do and that I can do to continue to perform on the real estate asset side, to block out the noise, continue to execute and transact. But I've had some layup deals that get undermined. So it's like you undermine and sabotage the fund and they say, why isn't he performing? Just today, my wife can show you right now in a text message, if anybody wants to see it, someone hit her up and said, I'm having an event at the Legacy Center, a credit event this September. I'm seeing all the noise online, and I think it's going to affect my sales. It wants to pull out their rental of the building, our building. We lose income every time that we sabotage our own asset. We sabotage our own investment. So again, our path forward, straight talk, no rhetoric, straight talk. Our path forward is to stabilize the Legacy Center. That's my focus because that stops the cash burn. To stabilize the Legacy Center. We then have already been talking. We've had multiple requests from multiple cities, even Ghana, Africa, who want to duplicate this model. We've already talked to franchise attorneys about how we can franchise this building without the operational cost. They pay a franchise fee. We get a 10% of the gross revenue from these other buildings. They take our infrastructure, our model. They do it in other cities. We get a piece of those assets, and we can bring more cash flow after stabilize this building. Simultaneously, through our next capital raise, we pursue our micro city. Over 140 doors, 30,000 square feet of commercial real estate right here, one of the hottest markets in Atlanta, Georgia, in the country. We do this development right here that we have in our hands right now in real life. This ain't rhetoric. This assets that we own and we have development rights to. We develop this, we stabilize Legacy Center, we franchise Legacy Center, we raise more capital to do more private lending that we've done well. On our closed transactions of private lending, we've earned about a 24.9% annualized return on private lending. But the issue is you need more capital to lend. So our plan forward, clearly, for everyone, is to recapitalize the fund so we can do more private lending to our Black developers that we've done in the past, that we've earned about a 24.9% IRR on. Develop this micro city, Black Wall Street in real life, right here in Atlanta, for us. Stabilize this so we stop our cash burn and then duplicate the model into future. I want to, our vision is 20 Black houses, 20 legacy centers in the next 5 to 7 years, franchised out in 250 years, 215 years all around the world. That's the path forward, clear and plain. Next question, please.
Yeah, I have a question.
Sure thing.
Who else has a question? That's my question. Please, sir. Oh, you waiting now? All right.
All right, cool. So, Jay, I respect, I followed the fund since the beginning. I don't have a dog in this fight, right? But I'm in the real estate space and I wanted to see you win, and I still do want to see you win. But I have a 4-part question.
Sure.
So number 1 would be, how much cash is the fund sitting on the bank currently? 2, is there enough cash on hand to pre-develop the land that you're speaking of for the new development? 3, if the reason was to sell to the New Mexico LLC for privacy concerns, why was it then sold back to your name for $80? That would defeat the original reasoning. And then my 4th question, the last question, would be: the fund has an exclusive right to the said 27 acres, but contractually, how does the current owner of this 27 acres benefit from this exclusive right to the land?
Awesome. Thank you. Great questions. First question, we will go over our financials and we will go over our detailed financials in our completed audit. I will say that the fund is sub $500,000 of cash, and that we absolutely must raise capital to keep the mission going. Absolutely. We have to recapitalize. This has been a very expensive operation, very expensive journey. Even the focus and the energy into nights like tonight in defending ourselves in the lawsuits to E.J. Hawkins, lawsuits to someone else I ain't got a name. We had to sue for 2 years for defamation and slander that hurt us, that we also won. That's 2 lawsuits won, but that cost us money, time, and focus. SEC investigation over $250,000, time and focus, right? Et cetera, et cetera. But that answers the first question. Second question. Sure.
Does that answer first?
Excuse me.
Yeah, he says $500K in the bank. Yeah.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Second question.
Sub $500K. I don't have the exact number, and we'll have the exact numbers in our audit. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Second question.
Number 2 was: is there enough cash on hand to pre-develop the land for this new development?
Yes, we are not full pre-development, so many phases, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what we have here going next into our civil gives us enough to be in position for our equity play, for or subdividing the land, getting into infrastructure, right, with subsidies, et cetera, et cetera. Mm-hmm. So we are well enough in position as we enter our next capital raise round to bring this development to full pre-development phase.
Cool, appreciate that, man.
Yes, sir.
Number 3 was the reason, we all sat and listened to the reason for the New Mexico LLC.
Mm-hmm.
So if it was originally sold to the New Mexico LLC for privacy concerns, why was it then sold to you? In records are showing $80. I seen something online. That would defeat the original reasoning for privacy concerns.
For sure. Didn't want to, but for economically, it made much more sense. Okay. To be very transparent with you, the loan, as you know, as an investor, the loan for a company and the rates for a company are much higher than the rates for an individual. And since this is public anyway, and et cetera, it just was economically more feasible to just bear the risk, if you will, of being public for the economical benefits.
Okay.
It's a finance decision.
I appreciate that, man.
Yes, sir.
All right, number 4, in my last question was, the fund has an exclusive right to the said 27 acres, but contractually, how does the current owner of the 27 acres benefit from this exclusive right to the land?
Are these exclusive development rights?
Yeah, correct.
We don't benefit at all from any development rights on the land.
No, I'm speaking of the current. There's somebody else that owns this 27 acres right now, right?
My family owns it. We own it.
Okay, so you're saying you guys won't benefit at all from it?
Just living there. Yeah.
Cool.
We paid for the property.
Mhm.
We overpaid for the property. About 25,000 to the fund, right?
Okay.
13 to 16% return to the fund.
Mhm.
And the fund got the development rights. And we pay all the carrying costs for the property. The fund does not pay any landscaping, any taxes, any insurance, any mortgage, any carrying costs.
Okay. All right. So my question. I appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate it. Okay.
All right. He asked a couple of my questions. He asked a couple about the, but you, what's going on, bro?
Peace, King.
All right.
What's your name?
My name is Anthony Brooks. I appreciate that you get a couple of questions I wanted to know about the transfer. How much total was these properties acquired for?
These properties were originally acquired for a total of about, I'm off memory, 150 and 850. It was about 960, maybe up to $1 million, somewhere in there.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and through that acquisition, and that was tref funds that provided the non-official?
Tref 100% owned the companies and 100%, yes, invested in capital.
Gotcha. Give me a second. I gotta come back so we can get that. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Sure.
What's going on, King Jace? So,
Peace.
Peace, King. So, a couple questions I have for you. One of the things I've heard you say over the years is the original goal was to raise $50 million for this tref fund, correct?
Yes, sir. Still is.
Yeah. So, only raised 11.5.
About a fifth of our goal.
About a fifth of the goal. So, I'm a full-time investor. I've been a full-time investor since I was 17, 23. What was this decision to push forward with 1/5 of the goal? And before you answer that,
Yes, sir.
I want to say this. If you invest in something and it's now raised only 1/5, I say two things, right? Expectation wise, I don't have a dog in the fight, but if I know that we only raised 1/5 of the goal so far, I look at it like, how much can we really do? Because if it's a $50 million project that takes I'm gonna ask a question. You just said 50 million is what it takes to get the job done, right? Or no?
That was the business plan.
Okay.
To ultimately be able to do these kind of investments and that kind of lending, it was a $50 billion business plan. So when you look at, for instance, we earn about 24.9% on our private lending, right?
Yeah.
So imagine so for every $10 million that we had to lend, that would be $2.5 million approximately a year.
Okay.
So imagine we have the same operational expenses, roughly, maybe a little more, right, with more staff. The same operational expenses with 10 million more, 10 million more, and 10 million more. And we can scale that at the same rate of 24.9%. That's more revenue, more income, and more cash flow with more capital to lend.
Yeah.
That was the original business model. Now, why did we press on? I did not know with the momentum of raising 5 million in 3 days. Like, okay, question to our audience real quick. If you guys had an idea, it could be a real estate fund, it could be an electric car, it could be some kind of app, some kind of whatever. And you went to the public market and said, you know what, I'm gonna be crazy enough, I'm gonna be innovative enough to go raise capital, right? I really want to answer from everybody in the room, seriously. If you went out and you say, you know what, for my business, I'm gonna need 50 million and do this the right way, right? And if you raised 5 million in your first 3 days with this idea that God downloaded to you, had in your head, and you went to execute it. If you raised 5 million in 3 days and your target was 50 million, do you all think with that momentum of 5 million in 3 days that you'd be more likely or less likely to maybe reach that goal or somewhere close? More likely or less likely? More likely. So when I saw, I'm like, I'm not crazy. When I saw 5 million in 3 days, I'm like, we can do this. I did not anticipate the level of opposition year over year over year. So why did I press on? Because I'm resilient.
Yeah, no.
Because I'm persistent.
Yeah, and that's
because pressing on is how I got here in life. So I'm thinking that at some point there got to be trust. At some point the levee got to break. At some point right? Because we did it already. We did 5 million in 3 days, right? As an investor, King, like you did 5 million in 3 days. You about to get 50. You like, yo, I'll probably do it. Okay. Yes, sir. You were about to say something. I'm sorry.
Yeah, basically that was the answer that because I left out the part that I knew that they raised 5 million in 3 days. So if you raise 5 million in 3 days, you're gonna think that this is, like you said, you've seen it done. Now it goes to the duplication. So could you speak a little bit more as to why you did 5 million in 3 days, but then the fund only did 11.5? Could you highlight those? Because I think that will help people understand it as well too. Because for me, I look at it just like I said from an investor perspective. If we had a goal on a project to raise 50 million, we did 5 million in 3 days, but then we only did basically 6.5 the rest of the time. Where was the lapse at? Because my thing is, I look at this, right? As an investor, anytime you put your money into a product, you don't want to necessarily bash the product, right? Because some of the things that I have to agree, some of the things that you're saying, King J, do make sense. From a business model perspective, I want to talk about as well the Legacy Center. When it first opened, there had to have been a pivot. Now, I don't know how many people showed up in the building. You know, January 2020, it opened. 45 days later, it shut down. Didn't reopen until August. And like everybody got to understand sometimes that life happened too. So some people weren't here in the flesh. I was the first person to walk into the building when the building reopened. I was one of the first people that signed up for a membership here when the building first opened.
Thanks.
A lot of people spent a lot of money investing in the fund. I've spent 6 figures just being here and putting into the building. Where King J is standing, I paid $6,000 myself to get married in that spot and book the other side. I've sent people, countless of people over here, hundreds of thousands of dollars have been spent. And what you're talking about when people come and they say and text your wife and say, yo, I don't even know about booking this building. You got too much negative press because you got clowns on YouTube that make videos that kind of know what they're talking about, but really don't because they're not necessarily here. So for me, I look at it and say, I gotta be 100 transparent. I look at it and say, when you talk about all these developments, I see what you're doing. I don't understand where all the smoke is for you, King J, because it's like you're here right now, you answering the questions. So the point is, I want to get down to the nitty gritty. A lot of people got the questions, but they just afraid to ask on the mic. King J, the 2 million in marketing expenses, did you spend that on JMA or no?
No.
Okay.
Flat out point period. We literally saved the fund money to the sister company JMA. I literally, to save us money, the fund, I literally put the expense of marketing on my other company. Read the document slowly. I'm not fast talking, y'all. It's in the documents. My other company took over a $200,000 hit that I could have claimed. Did not claim it. Management fee. I've deferred over $500,000 of my management fee, and I could charge interest on the management fee. Read our operating agreement. I purposely never took interest and will never take interest on the deferred management fee. If this was a money grab, I also, as a CEO, can get a salary from the fund, part of the operating agreement. I've never taken a salary. If this was a money grab, if this is a personal piggy bank, I get the interest on the management fee. I get all the money my other companies do. I get the interest. We keep perpetuating this narrative. It's not true.
Yeah. And I think that, and those are the things that, like, the main questions that I really have, because I think it's important that it gets addressed. And it comes down to now, like, what's the future? You know, when you talk about raising capital again, why do you personally believe people should invest again? Being all the things that have happened over the past 5 years, the things that have transpired, you know, the fund not performing maybe to people's expectations.
Not to my expectations.
Yeah.
I want to say this too on a marketing fee. It was not $2 million on marketing, y'all.
Yeah.
It was general administration and marketing. Everybody has to bottle up online the marketing to make me seem like I don't know what I'm doing. It was all the operational cost.
Gotcha.
It was not marketing. Marketing was 6% of that line item. That's factually in the paperwork.
Yeah.
So we hear these narratives online and we run to conclusions because guess what? It's online. It got to be true. Imagine what it would be like for us Blacks in America or anybody in America if a prosecutor laid out a case very, very thoroughly. And because it was thorough and conclusive, that's it. Imagine how many folks would be in jail if all you had was a prosecutor that made a case and now it's concluded. And no matter what the other person says, have the same conclusion.
Yeah.
So to answer that question, right?
Yeah, you answered it.
The fact about you said about moving forward, raising capital.
The question about why do you think you can raise capital?
The answer to why I believe I could raise capital, despite all this, is because we're already vetted. We're already tested. We've already proven we can go through the fire, through the heat, and still perform. And if not us, then who? And if not now, then when? Like we literally have went through investigations, lawsuits, insinuations, and we keep standing up and keep fighting for our people and keep charging forward. So if not this fund, if not this opportunity with these experiences, we already have 5 years of experience doing this. We know the technologies to use. We know the efficiencies in operation. We know how to get liquidity now for our investors. We could trade your shares and sell your shares without having to ask for redemption. We have all these findings that we have from the last 5 years of laying the foundation of the fund. So because of our experience and our tenacity and our resilience and our ability to still maintain and produce some fruit through storms most would have quit in, through environments most would have said, you know what, y'all can have that. We still have stood up and still continue to stand up and still fight with the initial vision of initial mission and still charge on for our people. That's why.
Thanks, King J. Please.
Hello.
Hi, Queen, peace. You gotta lower that thing.
Short too.
Hello, how everyone is doing tonight. My name is Zakia Walker. I'm one of the tref investors. I invested $500 because I definitely believed in the concept of group economics. And that was around my journey in 2018 when I started looking into real estate investing. So I actually, in my lifetime for real estate, I have my real estate license. I did about 5 fix and flips in my life in the past 6 years. And I didn't have experience. I didn't understand what a crowdfund was. I didn't understand what even developing massive projects like with the 30 acres or something as massive as the Legacy Center. I wasn't familiar with that process. I'm only familiar with a project of maybe less than $400,000.
Yes, ma'am.
So, I kind of wanted to use this experience as learning and educating myself and building to where one day I can get to the point where I'm a developer myself. So, but a lot of the things that I've learned along the way, King J, I feel like, for example, I never received any emails about why the audit was past due, because I actually put in my redemption this year because I couldn't understand, I'll try to reach someone through the software that we use that we were going to get our 1099s and our K1s.
Your computer share.
Yes, I wasn't able to reach anyone through that. And so I didn't understand, like what's going on, I didn't get any communication. I didn't get an email saying that some joint investor was holding up the audit. So one of the things I'm asking you is, as far as the communication process, like what happened to where even Investors Day, I had no idea. I didn't receive any email about Investors Day. I didn't know. I always received the emails about Legacy Center. I always received the emails about the events. I actually have a virtual office here for my real estate business. So I'm like, I get emails for anything else. So I didn't understand like what happened during these last 4 years where I didn't know any of this that was going on.
Thank you for that. It's interesting. Even a Zoom link for tonight, my wife didn't receive it. And she's like, where's the link? Right. So we had to go to team.
Yeah, I didn't get that either.
So yeah, so it's all a mass list and it is sent. I don't know if it's going to spam or folder or something's going on with your name in there.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to take that and say, we have to figure out an alternative communication channel or a portal where we all can have better access.
Mhm.
We do put the replays on our website, et cetera. We have computer share. But if you're not receiving it and she's not receiving it, so some of you guys aren't receiving it, that's something that we have to talk to our, investor relations and communication team about. It's certainly not intentional to not be transparent with you. We do tref talks every first Tuesday. Right? We might miss one or two a year, but for the most part, every first Tuesday, we do tref talks. And we'll look for a way to improve that communication. But we take everybody that's in the investor database based on the email you invested with, and we send out those communications as frequently as possible.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's one thing. Now, I do want to ask you as far as the safety of you and your family. Because I completely understand. I would never let something like this go this far where I'm getting death threats. And I understand you are resilient. You are ambitious. You are, I'm not going to stop. But have you thought about, maybe stepping down as fund manager and as the fund manager and maybe being the visionary, maybe being the orchestrator or the coordinator, because so some of this is not just on you, because it's a lot. And I remember being a general contractor for a $300,000 project, and I almost lost my mind, and it was so much that I had to negotiate and coordinate, and people who are not doing their jobs. So, I mean, do you think if for the betterment of the fund moving forward, is that something you've considered?
1,000%. 1,000%, y'all. I would love just to be the face, voice, visionary and have other capable people have my and our back to make investment decisions and do other things. That's one of my findings the last 5 years. Mm-hmm. But let me tell you how we also got there. I reached out to people coming into this and no one believed in the vision before it launched. I could prove it. I'm just not making stuff up. Mm-hmm. It was like, what do you mean you're going to raise money with Black people? And it didn't sound possible until it happened. Mm-hmm. And so then when it happens, when I was reaching out to people, I was a little bit in my ego, in my pride. Y'all ain't believing me then. So now, right? So it's a little bit of me. I'm going to own that. And then when I was trying to reach out to people after that, we were under investigation. So now I'm telling you while I'm under FBI investigation, hey, bro, I need your help. Come join us. While the SEC and the FBI are investigating us. And you don't know if I'm guilty or not. Do you want your stuff in the middle of that? Who want their stuff in the middle of the FBI and SEC? Raise your hand. Oh, okay. So moving forward, though, that is something that I like to. I like your help in, and I want to do. I ain't trying to be ball hog Jordan in his early days. I'm trying to be Jordan with Pippen and Cartwright and the rest of them. Right? I'm trying to be the best version of me that I can be for the fund. But I do want other qualified people, other qualified help in this environment as we go forward with our next phase of what we're doing. People that believe in what we're doing. But even with the recent smears, it's hard to go get partners with the recent smears. It's always smears. So it's really hard for me to people to say, yeah, I like you, I like the vision, but people don't even want to lease this building because of the stigma on the building, because of the things that are being said about the building and the fund, right? So it just makes it hard. But to your point, for my health, my spiritual health, my physical health, and my family's safety, I'd love to democratize and spread out the risk and all that. But then after seeing my experience, how many people actually want the risk? So, but yes, thank you. I appreciate it. And we'll do better on communications and serving you and the fund.
Oh, and I did have one more question.
Sure.
As far as the documentation, because I know you've already seen, one of the lead investors, Julian Gordon, he sent out a blast about showing all of the documentations and I know you said that, you don't want to give out unaudited documentation, but even with just the 32 acres, even if you blurred out, names and companies, was that not possible for us to look at today?
I believe we have something coming to everyone with this. We're going to give you guys the contract, the actual sales contract, mm-hmm. the agreement on showing the profits. I believe like another document as well to support what I'm saying.
Okay, so that's something that we're going to get like emails.
Yeah, I thought and you don't be getting emails, but I will make sure that is likely an email.
Yes.
Likely an email. I thought we were working on trying to get something printed out today, but it didn't work in this rush, mm-hmm. or have something presented on the screen. So I will do that just so it's not just, me talking, but everything I'm saying is also a part of our audit, right? That's what the audit is for.
Right.
It's to hold me accountable.
Right.
It's not somebody that works for us. So when I say the fund owned the money 100%, I just can't make that up and it's not in the audit.
Mhm.
When I say the sales contract says exclusive development rights, if you guys read the recent audit, it says it right in the audit, right? Exclusive development rights in perpetuity.
Mhm.
These are the facts. And they're all support, and our auditor, they support documents. So I'm not held to Instagram audit. I'm held to an actual certified auditor, third-party auditor who has no dog in the fight and no lack of objectiveness. But we will try to get you guys something you can physically put your hands on just to further allow us to demystify, debunk, clarify, and move forward. Will that work?
Yeah, that'll work. And I have one last question.
Wait, that was too last.
I'm sorry, one last question.
Go ahead, Quinn, you got it.
So, this is all a process for people like me who are
Yes,
not
ma'am.
familiar with crowd funds, REITs, trusts. Are you willing to do some type of class or some type of education to how these types of funds work? Because it's still a lot of things when I'm reading the audits, when I'm reading, the court documents, I still feel like I should have somewhere I could come here, or where we sit down and we actually go over it word for word, just like we do in real estate class.
We
have an actual class where they teach us all of this verbiage so we can understand what we're looking at.
Two sources, y'all. If you go to TulsaRealEstateFund.com, you'll see a bunch of, you can search, or we have a Google, like a kind of our own Google search bar. You can literally search a lot of these terms, and we have FAQ videos that break it down. And also in all of our investor days, we go over the numbers, we slow it down, and we break down these terms during our investor days as well. But I'm totally open to holding a class to, to give us more education. But that's the silver, even though I hate the fact that my name got to get smeared and my wife has to get smeared and we got to, I don't enjoy this, that part of it. But the silver lining in it, think about this. We have a room full of Black people that are talking about P&Ls, audits, analysis, funds. That conversation wasn't a conversation 5-6 years ago. So part of this process, although it's painful, is to go through this process so our families and households can have these conversations about value-add opportunities and development. So I'm certainly more forward to move that education and information forward. And I'm okay enduring the brunt of this for us, that we can be sitting here having a civilized conversation that's increasing all of our awareness about funds that we had no knowledge of as a community just a few years ago.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Quinn.
Thank you. Listen, you got one more last question? No.
She got one. I guarantee you she got one.
Yeah, she got one. Listen, I did want to say this. Now I forgot what I was going to say. Come on, man. Want me to lift that up? No, I'm good. All right.
Oh, gosh. Peace, kings. Peace, queens. How y'all doing?
Please, King.
I'm King Ross. I'm a fixture here. They probably wondering why I don't leave. I'm always here.
Can you raise that mic for him, or can you take that mic out? Yeah, please. He's a little taller than our last guest.
Yes, perfect. I myself has been coming here from day one since they opened and serving in every capacity that Jay would allow. I have a couple comments, suggestions, and statements real quick. Well, in regards to what the young lady said about learning, our Black families, we definitely need to be building funds within our families. This is something I did almost 7 years ago. We need funds within the families. Each family should have one. Someone should be the banker of that family. So this is a great learning tool for those of us who are looking to build real legacies. So for me, my background is finance, former IRS agent, former corporate development strategist, former manager for 5 Home Depots out west. So I have a solid financial background going about 30 years. I also was teaching this knowledge in the 90s, and my generation looking at me like they didn't know what I was talking about. So I had to actually keep living to find a group who would understand where we're going today with finance. But here's my question to you, Jay. I know you've heard me say this over and over. I'm all about structure. So for me, the advisors would be something I would recommend highly, because I feel like that, one, would take pressure off of you, and two, it would help you get to your decisions that you're taking on pretty much on your own. How do you feel about that?
Well, I want to be clear, guys. I don't take decisions on my own. We have a team. There is a leadership team that I consult with, right? But having people from different industries with different relationships, different resources coming on to be advisors would certainly be helpful, right? So advisors are a good thing. It's something we're pursuing and have been pursuing. But we do have a team. It is not as loud and vocal as I am. It's not just the J show. There is a leadership team that does assist and help with our decisions.
All right. Let me see here. We're in the empowerment zone. So raising capital, I felt, to me, this would be the perfect area, because you can bring in corporate and other dollars that we won't get out of the community. I feel like we could raise maybe 20, 40, 50 million if something was done right here in this empowerment zone.
Yeah, you know what? We were targeting, we had a great relationship with a company called Peer Street. They're a national lender, and their CEO's name is Brock. Brock and I hit it off, and we're talking about some national opportunity zone initiatives and other lending initiatives, all those kind of things. And then Brock stopped returning my emails, and then his team hit me and said, based on what's going around your fund, we'd have to decline at this time. So again, we're still going to be pursuing those opportunities, but guys, we just have to be realistic and just understand and imagine it's very difficult to partner up when someone can do a simple search of your company name or your name, and there's constant scrutiny that people just don't want to be involved in. But we'll continue pressing on, and we'll find those relationships and get into other opportunities on fund, other empowerment zone fund opportunities here.
That was the next question. You did it with this project. You had a separate entity buy it, even though it was fully owned by the tref fund. How about doing something like that here? I guess that's where I felt that you would be able to raise the money, because it wouldn't be directly the tref fund.
Yeah, tref fund or my name. So we need a separate entity, and it may not have to be the person that they're talking to.
Okay.
Because if you look up Jay Morrison, you're going to see allegations, even though there's no findings, even though it's clear, even though we win this lawsuit, even though it's speculation, it looks bad, it feels bad. And as a business owner, you'd be hesitant to get in business with something that's muddy.
That's correct.
And that's been part of the undermining of our company, right? If you just throw a smear on somebody, they're now muddy. And now you have to decide if you want to get in bed with the mud or not.
Right. Yeah. That's right. Like putting tomato sauce on a white shirt and you're trying to clean it out, and then it comes out.
Thank you so much.
A couple more. Because this area, I just got a spot around, not right in the area for our youth program. And hello?
What's that?
Oh, okay.
Oh, some bleach on that. Had it.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and get down the last two here. I got the overhead. Okay, the management fee was very high and it continued to climb. What are we doing to knock that down? Because right now we're at the stage where we have to raise more capital. I believe that's going to be a sticking point for investors if the fees are still high coming into this new project.
That's a great point. We are looking at ways to cap the management fee or to introduce a management salary.
Okay.
That still respects the level of effort that the manager has to put in and level of risk that I have to endure and all those things, but still respecting, right, the fund and where we're at in the fund, which is why, again, I've deferred over $500,000 of management fees, right? Trying to respect my hard work and rightful compensation, but also respect the level of fiscal status that the fund is at, right? And so I agree, and I'm always cognizant of that. Y'all, I'm not greedy. I'm not here to be a pig. I'm not double dipping. I don't do those things. So yeah, we were definitely looking at in the future of ways to mitigate that, to give investors some level of comfort. And I'm in it too. All right.
I wanted to ask about that anyway. Go ahead.
No, I'm done. Go ahead.
Yeah, the build out costs on this project here, because I'm actually doing I'm working on a 29 unit development myself. What is the build out cost, the full build out cost, land development cost, not the build out.
Mm-hmm.
What does that look like? Because after you got that done, of course, you can get the rest of the money.
Yeah, we look at land build out costs somewhere between 6 and 7 million, probably upper 6 right now. We're looking at trying to get some subsidies from the city of East Point, city of South Fulton. They've indicated that we can get some infrastructure subsidies and other things that can help mitigate those costs, but somewhere in about $6 million range for full land build out. Ready to go vertical.
Have you spoke with them? Last thing, have you spoke with them about the bond issue down there?
We have, yes, sir.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yes. There he goes.
All right. 11.5 million raised.
Yes, sir.
The brother asked, he said it's about 500,000 left.
Yep, so 500,000.
What assets currently does the fund own?
The fund owns the Legacy Center. It owns the Des Moines Annex property, 5 acres here. It owns the 27 acre of development rights. It owns also a property we have to foreclose on in Cincinnati. I think those are, and maybe one other asset, but those are the assets that it owns currently.
That's about how many?
Let's say 3 or 4.
3 or 4 properties.
Mm-hmm.
So in the 5 years, that's the only assets we've been able to accumulate.
We've also accumulated 98 units of housing in Macon that we were defrauded on by E.J. Hawkins that we have a judgment against. So we accumulated that. We were defrauded by.
So when you say defrauded, monies from the fund went out to this individual for that product that never came back?
Correct.
Gotcha.
He didn't perform. He didn't report properly. It's all in our filing, and we have a judgment against him that we won.
How much was that? Roughly.
I don't have the number top of my head. I don't want to misquote. Mm-hmm.
Sure, good. I ain't pressing about the house and all that, but my question is, with this property, it's 32 acres, 27 acres is owned by the fund.
The fund owns 5 acres and has exclusive development rights for lifetime, perpetuity on 27 acres.
So it doesn't own the.
It does not own the land.
Doesn't own the
It
land.
does not pay the carrying costs for the land, but has all the rights to develop the land.
Got the rights, but no land. How long? How much with 500,000 and how burn rate going? How long before it's out of bread?
It depends on how our revenue is coming in. So, right, we can't give a accurate number,
Gotcha.
right? Because there's different monies that come in every single month. There's houses, there's loans that we have. So you ask what we own. We also have loans out as well.
Gotcha.
So there's loans that come out that get redeemed. When someone pays a loan off, we get that capital back. There's a legacy center and the revenue it makes and fluctuates monthly, but it's stabilizing going upwards. So all those things affect the burn rate. But we absolutely must continue the mission, absolutely must raise
I
capital.
feel you. All I gotta say is this, man. Jay, so 5 years later, a lot of people put their money in. A lot of people leave you, myself, believe in you.
Yes, sir.
I want to be on myself. On the story that initially that we supposed to have a similar fabric coming from a similar background. You know what I mean? So that's
Understood.
I had no issue, throwing a couple dollars up, right?
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of people did because of that. So after 5 years, $11 million down. I hope you understand how people look at that. You know what I'm saying? Like, damn, where all this money went, man? You know what I mean?
I understand.
And trying to get an understanding, sophisticated, not sophisticated, we just went with the bro because we thought he had the leadership, or believe he has the leadership to take this to where we need to go. My dude, I'm gonna leave it at that, man. I ain't got no more questions. Thank you for your time and for
Do you mind staying right there for a second? Can we dialogue? And you keep it 100 with me. Do you believe that I gave my best efforts in this environment of everything that you already know the fund has been going through since the time you've been a part of it? My best efforts to make this happen?
I don't know what your efforts were, so I can't say.
I'm just asking what you believe. It could be no, and I won't be offended. It could be yeah.
No, personally, yeah, I'm gonna say no, but I don't know. That's me making an assumption because I'm not here with you day to day to see what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I ain't trying to get in my situation, but my little brother and I, we just grabbed up, piecing together real estate information. We bought 3 properties. We squeezed together $60,000 from people we never thought would be able to have that. We bought 3 properties via tax deed situations and auctions and negotiating that, and now worth $600,000, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what us not having no money. We ain't have $11 million. So I do know what would have been done and what potential if we had access to $11 million. So I'm not even gonna put that on you or answer that in that way, brother. I don't know what you have.
No,
you know
that's the perfect answer, King. You know why? I understand why everybody don't understand. Because if I didn't sit in this seat, I'd be thinking like you. I'd be thinking like, yo, bro, I'm from where you from? 11 million and what? But King, reporting back, live from the only one that we know been in this seat, right? Is that facts? Anybody we know been in this seat?
No, not I know of.
So reporting back, being 100, what I'm telling you is that it's not just real estate, how everybody trying to simplify the real estate. The compliance, the treasury, the legal, the administration, the whole operation, investor relations, of all those kind of things in an environment from day 3 had undermining, sabotage, and pushback was much tougher than
I got all that, bro.
So,
but at the same thing I'm saying is you being an investor, there are deals out here that people need money, motivated sellers, all type of properties where people need to get rid of these properties and somebody need the money. So $11 million. All right, scratch. Take all those fees away, take all these things away. All right, we got $2 million. You know what I'm saying? What assets do we got? What cash flow coming in? And that's where my mind is at.
No, I understand.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
if people gave me $60,000, I ain't lose $1.
But you also didn't have the operations, and you also didn't. Dang, those 32 deals right there was funding. Listen, we just dialoguing.
We dialoguing, bro. I'm shutting anything that's costing. I'm shutting it down. All this money that's costing us to tapping into doing this business and all these. Yeah, y'all gotta go. I'm sorry, it ain't working. We cutting y'all out because we gotta make sure these people get their money. You know what I'm saying? We got to put this into something. So that's where I'm at with it. I would have deaded any extra expenses or reduced them drastically. You know what I mean? To the point where at this moment, you're the one standing here answering questions.
Correct.
You're the one going through all of this stuff. Man, all these people could have just been you controlling all of this and not having all these expenses.
If I was just controlled, first of all, that applause is warranted. I'll own that. Back in hindsight, I would have fired a lot of people a lot sooner. In COVID, your families, your whatever, black, all that, you gotta go. I would have did it, King. I'm being transparent with y'all. I'll take that one back if I could. I'm not saying I did this perfectly. I'm just saying I didn't fraud us in doing this. I didn't scam us in doing this. I didn't misappropriate us in doing this. Y'all can leave here and say, I think he's the worst businessman ever, if you so choose. But I didn't fraud you and I did my best. It was very hard. Well, I've never faced a pandemic before, King.
I know disrespect, bro. I think this gentleman said you transferred the property or sold a property yourself for $80?
Not from the fund, King. Mm-hmm. The fund made $25,000 on the investment and kept the rights. After the fund had their $25,000 under 60 days.
You telling me about rights, bro. We don't got the land.
King, you let me finish? Right, we're building. The fund wasn't in a capital position to be able to maintain the land and the carrying cost, right? It wasn't the capital position. So being creative, we restructured the financing so the fund could still maintain the rights to the land, to develop the land and get the money from the land and make $25,000 without the carrying cost of the land and all of its capital back in under 60 days with $25,000 on top, King.
I got you on that.
Okay, so we just building.
Right.
We just building. I ain't trying to fast talk you.
No, you ain't fast talk, we good.
Okay, I just want to be clear. And I'm taking ownership that there's decisions as manager in 5 years as an entrepreneur that I could have made better, y'all. I could have. When the pandemic happened and we opened this, and we had a beautiful business plan. I'm telling you, I really believe it would have worked. We would have cashed out here. I didn't know how to face the pandemic. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to do.
With disrespect, buy real estate, man. Buy the real estate. Take the money, buy some real estate.
What?
Transactional funding. Do these different things that are being done. And that you say, my dude, God bless. Man. Thank you for answering these questions.
I'm talking about staff.
Thanks for coming out. Good night.
Yeah. You did your thing. You waited patiently. No, I feel you. What I want to say is, during the pandemic, we had staff in a business model here. Remember, we had heavy cash burn. So we were using the legacy center to be our cash burn neutralizer. So when the pandemic happened, I don't know if it's a 30-day thing. See, it's easy in hindsight to act like we all know, because we all know now. But when you end it, I'm thinking like, is the pandemic 30 days and we just keep moving? Or is it 60 or is it whatever? So I'm trying to juggle how do I make my decisions, focusing on our biggest asset while we're still deploying capital and building a company at the same time. You have to remember the fund had no infrastructure, no staff, and we're building it from January 1st, 2018. So I'm building a company while still raising capital, while in that same pandemic the King just mentioned, go buy real estate, while I'm just develop this, while we're in SEC investigation, and I'm still in FBI investigation, and I'm just figuring it out. I'm trying to tell you all, I didn't do it all perfectly. I didn't even do it great. I didn't even do it good. I did it my best, and I don't mind that judgment. I do not mind the judgment. You can have your opinion of me as an entrepreneur or a real estate person, right? And I won't even complain about you not being in this seat in which you think it is. What I want to try to say is that I don't steal, I don't scam, I don't fraud, I don't misappropriate, and have not. That's what I'm here to say.
Yeah, so I remember my question from earlier.
Sure.
And this, I'm at the tiptoe, y'all. It's kind of high. My question is, I'm picking up on a theme. The communication, the clarity, the visibility, the thing with the email is easily solvable. Does tref have a membership-based site where tref members log in?
It does not.
It does not. Okay. We'll talk about that. But generally, you have a membership-based site where you can go and list all the documents that were sent via email. So people can go check in at a regular kind of clip to get all the latest information, whether they're receiving it in email or not. Again, the question is it a question? The question is, how much of your concerns are around communications? By a show of hands, who really has a challenge with the communications for the fund? It's okay if you raise your hand, love. I saw you. Okay. All right. Yes, ma'am. That's two. So everybody else, you feel like you're good with the data and the information you're receiving? How many people feel good about the level of communication they receive from tref? Okay. There's a whole lot more people here than that. What's that, Doc? Mixed? Yes, sir. Okay, but that's the challenge. It's mixed. That's a challenge. That's something I think we're gonna have to try to address.
We'll improve that for sure.
Okay, sir, please. Sorry.
What's up, Jay?
Peace, King.
My name is Joe Stone. I'm here from the Church of Joe Stone podcast. I'm not a real estate guy. I'm a social media guy. I've held off on making a video about you, even though it would have been profitable. And it would have been profitable. I'm on the train, but I didn't yet.
It came up,
and I wanted to give you the opportunity to speak for yourself. And since we're in the same town, I see you face to face. So my first thing I wanted to ask was, and I think one of the gentlemen here asked if the land got developed. He asked you if you would be personally enriched, and you said no, correct? Because the land is developed and it becomes worth 10, 20, 30, way more than it was before. Then now you are the owner of all this equity that the company built into the land, correct?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
That's what the development rights are for.
I'm saying, but you would still own the land. So even though the company can develop it, if the land becomes more valuable, you're the one that holds that value, not the company. I could be wrong. I'm just asking.
Once we get into the development phase of breaking ground and going vertical, that land that we own is now contributed to the larger development. Right. So that land and that value is equity in a development, and we move forward fair and appropriate.
So you would charge the company a fair value for that land once they choose to develop it?
Yeah.
So the investors have to hope that you would be fair when it comes time to do that and not charge an unfair amount of money, right? That's the idea?
Yes.
Okay. I mean,
have to do that. I'm going to do what's in the best interest of the fund, as I have been.
I mean, that sounds good, but you personally own it. So, I mean, and I'm not saying it's a question of character and integrity, and I'm not saying you don't have it, but what I am saying is that's asking a lot of your investors who didn't necessarily they agreed to let you manage it, but they didn't agree to let you have 27 of these acres. You get what I'm saying?
Let's back it up, Joe.
Good, fair enough. Cool.
The land is not land that tref paid for.
So you didn't buy from tref?
No, I did buy from tref.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So I bought from Tref, recapitalizing Tref. Tref got all of its capital plus a profit.
So 25,000. And also, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but the 25,000 sounds a little crazy because when we're talking about a development like this and we're talking about the type of potential income, because you're investing in this land because of and I'm not a real estate guy, I'm just a common sense guy. When you're investing in the land, I'm guessing it's because you understand the potential value as a company, right? So you're investing in this land because you believe deep down that it's going to be worth 10, 20, 30x over the next, 30 years, 50 years, 100 years, whatever. But now you own control of that. You gave yourself control of that. Now the company has to hope that, you do business in the correct way moving forward, right?
Let's slow down.
Fair enough.
Right? So the fund has the exclusive development rights to the land to benefit from all that upside that you're mentioning.
Mm-hmm.
What I have done is allow the fund to benefit from that because this takes time. This is a year since that purchase. The fund has paid no carrying cost in that entire year of mortgage, insurance, maintenance, taxes, and won't for any of the years.
It sounds a little crazy when we're talking about $11 million fund. We're talking about this much real estate and it's such a big part of the portfolio. And the people involved didn't have an opportunity to vote on this. And you are the sole controller of it. And it's like you personally own it. You don't am I tripping y'all? I'm the only one that's okay. Just making sure I ain't tripping.
Let's talk through that.
I could be wrong. I'm not the smartest guy in the room. I'm just asking questions that I just think that because it just seems like if I was you guys, I would be a little frustrated about the fact that this happened. And you're saying we control 27 acres. No, we don't. You control the 27 acres. Because if you set the price too high, right, and Tref can't afford it, what happens then?
But why would I set the price too high?
Why would you give yourself the 27 acres? The $11 million fund can't cover the landscape costs?
Bro.
I can't cover the landscape costs and the mortgage. That was a bad investment. I'm sorry. Y'all being really nice to him because y'all friends. And I like you. You my nigga. I like you. My bad.
You use that word here.
Yeah, my bad. You my king.
Listen. Iron sharpen iron. I'm cool with the iron sharpen iron.
Cool. Let's go.
But you taking it out of context.
Okay, let me shut up. I'm gonna let you talk.
All right. You can still build up.
Okay, go ahead.
Concept. Mm-hmm. So the fund is benefiting, right, from these development rights from the land. You're saying, but you control the land, all of that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. King, I'm the manager of the fund, right? I got our fund all of its capital back based on our capital, because we were an $11 million fund at this acquisition.
Okay, fair enough.
Right?
Okay.
So look at the context. So you easy to throw that $11 million out there. I just said we're sub 500,000 and must raise capital, right? I just said that.
But not at that time. Correct.
Not that time. Mm-hmm. But we were not in a capital position to carry this land. So if I got us all our capital back, so we continue to operate and move forward, and still got us the land, King, I gave the fund a layup. Opportunity for us to develop and pull this together, King.
And also, this is another question, and this is another topic or another. Let's change it a little bit.
Did he answer?
Yeah. I'll take that. I'll take that answer. And it's really not for me. It's for them because I didn't invest. I wish at the time I believed in you, and I can't say I do, but I did at the time, and it hurt my feelings because I wasn't in a financial place to invest. Now it wouldn't be a thing, but at that time it was. So it kind of hurt my feelings that I couldn't be a part of this. So to see it, become this it's even more saddening, more heartbreaking. But what I will say is this too: you spoke about your family, you spoke about how that taxing you've been brutal, and that you were trying to protect your family by moving things around. And also you were a fund manager and you have fiduciary duty. And you also spoke to the fact that you have a higher level of accountability because of what we've seen in the Black community with the churches and other people taking advantage of the Black dollar. Do you think that, looking back in hindsight, that it was foolish to involve any type of personal residence, family business involved with Tref at all? Because now you having to answer these questions, and it does let you look bad. It makes the fund look incompetent and bad because we're having this, like you say, it's just bad press. Do you think that now that decision was foolish and you shouldn't have involved your personal residence at all with any of the fun stuff? Because I feel like a lot of these people probably would feel better if it was separate. Like, I wouldn't want your personal residence involved in if it was our business. Like, that seems like that's creating murky water, and now you have to answer these questions, and it puts you and the fund in a bad position. So I'm just asking, do you think that was a bad idea looking backwards?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we have an opportunity where the fund gains profits about a 13 to 16% annualized return with getting all of its capital and still the ability to produce the vision of what we produced without having to bear the operational cost and the burden. Like, these are the facts. I'm not like just making this up. These are the facts. The fund has the opportunity to develop this, and we've been working. This is not, we didn't make this up overnight or the last 2 weeks. This has been a year in progress of pushing forward. Yeah, so you said a better way to do it?
Yes. This is the fun. This is the fun game.
Excuse me? I have an $800,000 house from $11 million. I did. Yes. Yes, after $11 million. The fund acquired the initial property with my own financing and my own dollars. I restructured the financing for the fund and got the fund and all of this capital back for this property and to keep and maintain the development rights to the property. And for me to personally maintain the development costs and the carrying costs for us out of my own, King.
Also, was there a particular reason why the property was split the way it was? Like, you know, that the fund got the 5 acres and you got the 26 or something like that? Is there a reason why? Is it because of like the parcel, or like, I don't know shit about real estate. I mean, anything about real estate. So like, is there a reason why it was split up? Because again, but like, people would probably feel a little bit better if it wasn't 26 over here and 5 over here. I don't know.
I get the feelings part. I'm talking about the facts part.
Okay.
The fact is that our fund made a return over its capital and got all of this capital back to continue to operate the fund and still are in position.
$25,000 profit when we're talking about potential like millions or tens of millions of dollars if your development goes through.
The fund is still participating in, brother.
You are as well. I'm done. I'm done. I'm good.
Which the fund is still participating in.
Okay. All right.
Right. So upfront money and long-term money with no carrying cost, and the refinancing and structuring was brought by not funds of the fund. These are the facts. Thank you for your questions and your challenge, Joe.
He beat and feed. So listen, again, I'm yes, sir. What you need? Let's get after it. Questions?
Thank you. All right. Okay.
Well, hold on. Looks like.
Can you hear me? All right. Folks online is going crazy. Okay. All right. So here we go. Zoom, folks. You are now to ask your questions in the Q&A, and I'm going to rapid fire these, King.
Yes, sir.
All right. How can I get my investment reimbursed?
TulsaRealEstateFund.com. And please, you can follow the redemption tab, redemption instructions, and you can be on our redemption list.
How are conflicts of interest managed? And RM is asking, who is the compliance officer? What is the due diligence process for third parties that the tref does business with?
Our compliance officer, our compliance goes through legal, our accounting, and our independent audits. And what was the second question?
Dang, I got rid of it.
How was something about managing risk?
How is conflict managed, basically?
How is conflict of interest managed? Through disclosure, through our audits, through making sure that anything that is related parties or that is material is disclosed to you all, to our fund.
Will you liquidate the fund?
That's not my plan to liquidate the fund. If any business, if we're continuing to be undermined and sabotaged, I know the request is to liquidate, or from someone is to liquidate the fund at a lower valuation that would cannibalize the fund. I'm not here to lose. We're here to win. We're here to realize this vision. So no, it's not my vision to liquidate the fund. It's our vision and intention to grow the fund.
If Jay's family, the owner of the LLC of the NM, that now owns the 5 acres and 27 acres, gives exclusive rights for X years to tref to develop that land, does that mean his family profits personally off of any development? And if so, what are those terms?
It's not X years, it's in perpetuity, that's lifetime. So if the fund has development rights for lifetime on the land, the fund owns the 5 acres of land, and the fund, and our participation in this is not to enrich my family. If it was to enrich here's a really simple way to put it. If the goal was to enrich my family, then I didn't have to give tref. I wouldn't have gave tref development rights. I just say the Morrisons got development rights. Tref gets 25,000 and we out. Like let's keep it really plain. If the goal was personal enrichment, that was a goal, personal enrichment, then why would we contribute development rights to our fund if I'm trying to personally enrich myself? Just don't do that. The goal was for tref to be in position for this Demuni asset next to this major $1 billion development and to restructure the financing so the fund, which is limited on capital, can recapitalize to keep operating and to still execute the vision. It's really that simple. The fund made money upfront, made return, and still has development rights with all of its capital back. If Jay Morrison or the Morrisons would enrich themselves, then I would say, yo, I could just get this land and just do it myself and keep it myself. So next question, please.
Have you made any actual profitable investments with the fund?
Yes, several dozen. They're there. They're on our website. Go to totalrealestatefund.com. You can see our portfolio. You can see our per transaction returns, etc.
Where's the leadership team and why aren't they up on stage with you?
Great question. This was a triage impromptu town hall to address baseless accusations about misappropriation and slander and defamation that I needed to address immediately. We couldn't get the team here, I said it earlier, on time for this town hall, but the team is at our investor days. They have been at our last investor days. This is our company practice, and they'll be at our future investor days. You guys can meet the team for sure.
Is Julian in the building?
Ask, I don't know.
Okay. He is. All right. Somebody's statement. If you need help, work with the brilliant minds like Julian. Why is Julian not on stage with you?
I don't know.
Okay. I submitted a form to receive, Kanisha asked, I submitted a form to receive my funds back. What is the status of being able to sell our shares?
Our liquidity for shares, which is called a secondary market, that's something we're going to be implementing on the next phase of our fund, where you can be able to buy, sell shares, trade shares on a secondary market. Until then, we have our traditional redemption policy.
Kristen says, I think bringing in board members or advisors would be beneficial, especially when speaking of the operational heaviness of the fund. Investments are being made to stabilize the assets of the Legacy Center, but in my opinion, there should be prioritization of growing the strategic leadership of the fund to reinstate trust. Question, have you thought of, or are you working on different strategies to bring in advisors? Is there an active plan in place?
Yes, we've been pursuing it, continually will pursue it to bring on a board of advisors and other experts. I mentioned it earlier. Excited about it. It'll help take load off me and democratize the risk and democratize our genius as well and crowdsource all of our relationships. So that is part of what we're doing here and our goal.
When is Investor Day?
When we'll announce it after we complete this next audit, which should be fairly soon.
Do you have any evidence to substantiate what you're saying that can be shared with the public?
Yes, I will speak with the team tonight and we'll look at disseminating that. Everything is documented. Everything is, again, will be in our audits, but we'll look at some direct ways to disseminate it to you. Everything we're speaking about on our transactions and the fund. I want to say, I ran here, I called this so that we can immediately hit head on transparency and not come to false conclusions and preset conclusions and to debunk allegations and demystify what's being spread online. That's why I came here, to be transparent, to give you guys access like we do every first Tuesday, but in a different way, to let you know this is not it. This is baseless. At least the firm allegations of me being a perpetrator that's robbing the community. That's not it. I'm literally making every pivot and move I can to enrich the fund and enrich our community of investors and to meet the mission that we all set out for. Despite every allegation, attack, investigation, or whatever comes forward, I'm continuing to press and trying to do my best to continue to produce and be transparent as I produce. That's why I'm here.
Can Julian come in and ask his questions?
I think we answered about 18 of them earlier, but the microphone's available for everyone.
Who? Okay. Why is this update only being shared after Julian sent an email to all the investors?
Well, we do Tref Talks Tuesdays every single first Tuesday for the last 5 years. It would have been one anyway. Usually we don't get these turnouts. But because Julian made very strong, not even allegations, because he made false statements that slandered and defamed us and stood on it and said we have to stop perpetual, whatever you say. Because of that, I had to address it head on, because my wife and I are not frauds, we're not thieves, we're not misappropriating. I don't have a problem addressing that head on. You can say, I don't like how they, whatever, I don't like how he performs or whatever. That's fair critique. But to criminalize us, that's wrong, family. That's not how we do business. And to come to conclusions without the information, that's wrong. And so that's why I had to address this head on, because I can't keep allowing my family to be shamed. And you guys can do the due diligence for yourself to see if it's genuine interest or if there's other interest. You guys can look look yourselves. I don't have to insinuate. But when someone, however they get our email list, illegally, to get our email list and send out emails to our investors and to spam them and then to make these really firm accusations and all that, that's not brotherhood. That's not what we're doing here. And so that's why tonight.
The previous year, Audit issued what's called, quote unquote, going concern, AKA, I don't think this company will be around in 6 to 12 months. What's your plan to survive outside of raising more money?
Our plan forward is exactly what I said. Stabilizing the legacy center, stabilizes our cash burn. Going to raise capital, recapitalizing, not just through equity, but also through debt and other partnership opportunities. Going to do what we've done already successfully, 24.9% returns on average for our lending transactions. Continuing to grow, stabilize the scale legacy center, and bringing to life this demonic development. That is our plans to move forward.
If no more money is raised, where does that leave the fund and investors? Will you sell all assets, including Legacy Center?
Real estate and fund management is a capital-intensive business. You need capital to run a fund. And so it's not a matter of no more money being raised. We absolutely will raise capital. The issue is, since January 3rd of 2018, as we went to raise capital, we've constantly been undermined, sabotaged. People literally said, don't y'all do that. It's been happening for 5 years, no matter what we produce and what we do. And we're going through this right now. So the same people are undermining our fund and then saying, hey, why don't they perform? So we're still fighting for our investors. We represent our 15,000 investors, not someone because their investment level doesn't make them the representative. We represent the people. We see, even with this very surprising smear campaign, from my brother, who texted me at 7:04 a.m. and said, how about we meet on August 28th or August 30th to speak, as we text each other back and forth trying to sit down in person. Julian Gordon. trying to meet in person. He's busy with his daughter. How your daughter doing? I'm busy with my daughter. How your daughter doing? Brother talk. 7:04 a.m. on a Thursday. Hey, King, how's August 28th or 30th for us to meet? By 9 p.m. that night, tried, homie, is a flyer made about me and he went public. He texted me at 7:04 a.m. to meet in person as we were communicating, and then went to an online smear campaign by the same night. These are the facts. He's here. This was somebody that brought a teddy bear to my daughter while she was in brain surgery, my brother. He went live about me in less than 12 hours. We're trying to meet on August 28th and 30th. He's here. These are facts. Why his intentions? I don't know. But somebody I called my brother, I don't try to meet you for lunch in the morning and have a flyer made about you by the night. That's not how brothers do. Think of one of your friends, your associates. If I text you in the morning and say, bro, we got to meet about this, and how you doing? I don't have a flyer made and go lie about you by the nighttime. What's the motive behind that? Y'all be the judge. But what I could stand on is debunking, demystifying, misappropriation, theft, fraud, robber, all them terms I've been getting for the last 5 years. I stand on that. That's why we're here tonight, because I stand on it. Performance, we struggled in performance. I'll own that. But try my best in every environment, but we're going to end that fraud. Like, don't do that. That's not cool. That's not right. Say something else. But don't make conclusions and allegations and then tell people, no matter what you hear tonight, still go to the SEC and DOJ and criminalize or whatever the case is. And that's your right to do that if y'all want to do that. That's your right. I'm not going to stop nobody from we've been through that already before. But what kind of leadership tells someone no matter what you hear, still do a thing? What kind of motive is that? No matter what you hear, still come to this conclusion. That's not the spirit of tref. That's not group economics, not Black Wall Street, it's not my Tulsa real estate fund, not the fund that we founded, the fund I've been fighting for, the fund I done cried with this woman for, one fund I've been fighting for. That's not this. Our spirit is, Jay, we got to hold you accountable. Put your feet to the fire. And I'm cool with putting a foot out there, both of them, and let's do it constructively. Y'all can get on me. It's okay. Y'all can tell me, oh, it's okay. But don't make false conclusions and false statements about our family and our legacy. That's not Black Wall Street. It's not Black excellence. It is not. My wife has some words she wants to say. Go ahead, honey.
I wasn't going to speak tonight. I was just going to let Jay lead this, but I was convicted as I was sitting in the back. And I want to publicly commend you, Jay. And not just because you're my husband, because Jay knows I am the first person to hold him to the fire and the first person to challenge him, and he knows this. But I want to commend you publicly on the level of poise that you exuded tonight and that you've been exuding for the last 5 years. And I want to say this. We are not internet figures. I know we live in the world of Instagram and you think you can just say what you want on comments and throw darts. We're not internet figures. We are real people, real feelings. I have a real child back there. I have a real house, a real husband, a real life, real feelings. I have cried myself to sleep countless of nights because of all the allegations. I'm like, yo, I'm an actor. I am not used to this. I got a good reputation. I make movies. This is a lot. This is heavy. And when I started this thing with Jay, when he first told me about the Tulsa real estate fund, I was like, man, this is such a great idea. If I had known what I know now, I probably would be like, I don't know if I want to be involved. I don't know if I want to do this, because the people who you are fighting for, the same people who will tear you down, the same people who will clap for you on Monday as the same people who will be snickering and throwing darts on Tuesday. So I may not have done this, but I want to commend you for showing poise, for showing excellence, for being transparent, for being honest, not perfect, but honest. And to anyone who thinks it's okay to do a smear campaign, the same person who brought my child a teddy bear to the hospital when she had brain surgery, the same person who stood with Jay, the same person who supported us, to not even say, hey, brother, let's go live and talk about this like men, real Black excellence. But what we want to do in this day and age is chase clout and get attention and subscribe to my YouTube page. Come to my YouTube page. I'm tired of it. And we have to stop that. We have to hold those accountable who do that and operate from that divisive spirit, because it's divisive. We got to hold them accountable too. Yes, hold Jay accountable. Yes, hold the fun accountable. Ask the challenging questions, but do it with dignity. Do it with grace. Do it with poise. Do it with productive communication skills. That's how you build, especially with someone you once called brother. you once called sister. It's okay for us as Black people to just have challenging conversations with each other. We don't got to fight and argue and slander to have a conversation. We are adults. And if we're saying we operate from Black excellence and we're setting new standards, we got to really be that and not just talk it. And subscribe to my YouTube. So I want to commend Jay for handling this with grace and poise. Even when I'm at home, I'm like, bro, this dead it. I'm tired. I am so tired. I see Jay work tirelessly. I see people shun him. I see people slander him. I see the same people who he once was in this movement with, really one of the pioneers of this movement. I see some of those same people snicker and turn their backs. And that's hard. Jay's not Superman. It's hard. I know you guys see Jay is boisterous and he's strong, but it is hard to constantly be kicked, and still show up. Jay didn't have to do this tonight. Jay's been doing this for 5 years straight. Every first Tuesday and first Thursday. He used to do it weekly. He didn't have to say, everybody pull up in person. Come ask your questions in person. He didn't have to do it. So I want to commend you, and I want to commend you all for showing up and holding him accountable and coming with your questions, because it shows that you care. So I had to say that. I had to get that off my chest. It is burning in my spirit that people out here claim Black excellence, but operate from a spirit of divisiveness. It is not cool and it is corny. There's more ways that you can do to get subscribers to your YouTube page. It's corny, period. And I'm tired. So thank you, Jay, for your level of poise and integrity. And thank you to the investors, the true investors, who said, hey, I want to pull up because I want to have I have real questions. I want to ask the challenging, tough questions. And I know, if I know Jay and I know Jay's heart, Jay is going to continue to fight, continue to show up, continue to be integrous. That's all he knows to do. And I had to say that and had to get off my spirit.
Thank you, baby. Thank you. And she wasn't going to speak. And we know the rhetoric is going to be like, oh, they use emotion. I know. It's like, listen, man. Yeah, we use emotion. We're humans, it's called. It's called humans. And guys, we sat in this seat for us. I only can report back to you, right? Like, I ain't making excuses. You go call me out. I'm taking it. But I'm only reporting back what it's been like to sit in this seat, representing 15,000 people from 22 countries going under attack for 5 years. Only one person can tell you that. I'm just reporting what the experience has been like. Most people won't take this seat. And you know what would show me something? If all of us sitting here use a portion of this energy that we put towards me, towards the person who's actually been found guilty of defrauding the fund right in our SEC filing. And no one said nothing about him yet. Yes, sir. Hold on, let's give my microphone, please. You don't mind. You don't mind, turn.
What's up, brother? My name is OG. I'm from New York.
Yes,
I do not think you and your wife are criminals.
Thank you. We're not.
I don't have any dog in the fight. I'm just a guy who watches you on YouTube.
Yes, sir.
I'm a small-time real estate investor, self-made man. And I would just say, you need a cleanup, my brother. You need a major cleanup, restructuring, probably a consulting firm, maybe step down, separate personal from the corporate, like the brother was saying, because it has a look, it has an appearance. So you could be doing everything 100% right. Oh, but now he lives in that $800,000 house. He's got 5 acres. It's going to be 30 million. You're almost
optics.
Yeah, you're almost set up for failure. Even though you've done everything right, as you say, and I'll take you for your word. Major cleanup, consulting firm, step down, put someone else as a figurehead, get some major corporations behind you, and you'll be fine. Worst case scenario, if you can't make it work, if you have to sell all this to get your investors their money back, everybody walks away even, and you'll be good.
I want to say something while you're standing here. That's a great advice. And everything's on the table in business, right? It's entrepreneurship, as we assess.
It's all a risk.
Yes. And if we sell all this, where we're currently at, we're selling at our lowest valuation and not fighting for the mission in the movement.
It's the last option.
Correct.
Last
I just want to mention that first.
You can save all this.
Yeah, that's my goal.
Absolutely.
And what I'm saying is that, fam, I'm open to the restructuring.
Yes, sir.
JG, I'm open still to the conversation, King. Me and you. I'm still open to the conversation, King. I would appreciate some maybe public atonement and some take back a little bit from our family name. But Ash, anybody, I'm down for it. I'm really with it, y'all. I'm not like out here playing. I'm really with the building. I'm really with that. And it'll give me ease to restructure and have some other help, another phase. Okay, it's been hard on me doing this. And if somebody else was in this, they'd be able to co-sign like, yo, see, it's me only telling y'all because I'm the only one in it. You're like, I got to believe Jay. If somebody else is actually in this experience who could co-sign, they were like, yo, y'all don't even know what this is like. You think it's just easy real estate, 11 million to do some real estate. It's different.
It's not easy. It's a whole other level.
With all these moving parts.
The average person would never experience what you
with
experienced.
sabotage from day 3. So God gonna work it out. And I'm gonna keep fighting. But I'm calling on support, help. Keep challenging me. I'm not running from nothing. I'm running towards it. And I'm cool with everything's on an option of how we fix this and how we do this. I'm being transparent about everything. I understand the optics of the family thing, etc. I want to do something beneficial for the fund. Get our capital back, make some money on top of that, and still develop. I'm trying to be creative here. I'm not enriching me, I'm trying to be creative and do something for us. I got our capital back, plus returns, and still developing rights and land.
King, time check. Sorry.
Go ahead. Yes.
It's 9:30. I just got 2 quick questions from the 2 last questions from the internet.
Sure.
All right. Sorry, Bo. First question is, what would you say is your biggest hurdle / mistake that hindered the performance of the fund? And what would you do differently to ensure the return to investors?
That's a great question. So let's have that moment, right? And I don't have a pre-planned answer. I'll go off my heart with this. Ask one more time. I get it, but I just want to hear it one more time. Please don't tell me you deleted it.
I just did. Hold on.
So
the question,
what would you say was your biggest hurdle / mistakes that hindered the performance of the fund? And what will you do differently to ensure returns to investors?
I think one of my biggest hurdles it has to be that advisory board piece, being very intentional about that in the very beginning, right? Like, even if it was like people said no to me because of, investigation or because of a smear campaign, still fighting through that and being very intentional. Like, we ain't moving forward till I get a true advisory board, and not like skipping that step because I'm trying to being transparent. When you start raising the capital and the clock starts ticking in your head that is accruing, and you got to get the money from out the bank earning 0.01% or 1% out into the market. So, you know what I'm saying? It was all that. So I'm thinking like, I got to get deployed fast so it's not losing, but then I got to address this concern over here. But then I got to build a board, but I still got to keep raising capital, right? Because we still got our other goal, but then I got to deploy the capital, but I still got to build a team and infrastructure. And I should have got more support early on from the beginning. I should have been intentional about that. That's on me. I had a team. We hired people I could show you, but it just should have been I should have slowed down. If I knew better now, I'll tell anyone doing this again, you'll slow down. Block out the noise. It was mad noise. When we went viral, raising our capital, it was so much noise. And people coming out the blue saying you this and you, I didn't expect that. I really thought white supremacists were going to come attack our fund. I didn't expect us. That was a sucker punch to me. It was like, oh snap, like wait, us? And I just in experience, I would have took that back. In regards to getting our investment back, our capital back, et cetera, what I also realized is I would have had more time to do that, and we still have more time by recapitalizing the company. We only raised 1/5 of our business plan goal. And that's through murky waters and mad sabotage and undermining and all that. And I realized that if we double down on the vision and bring in a better team and more and use our fund, technology also increased. 5 years ago, it wasn't the same technology for real estate funds. This was a new fund for everybody. There's a whole new industry, crowdfunding. So now there's new technologies that provide better efficiencies. And so I would take all those findings, which is what we're going to do. We'll take all those findings, all those different things, management fee structure, all those, it's 5 years in, it's a foundation. Take all those, tweak it, advisory board, and just all those adjustments and continue the mission, y'all. 5 years in on a major thing that none of us done before. And so I would correct those things. I would bring those findings to advisors and other smart people, and we together collectively would make some stronger decisions than I can make individually. Yes, sir. Appreciate you.
Go ahead, Lawrence.
Thank you, Queen.
Go ahead.
All right, so
If you can help out with that Albany Land Bank thing, let's talk, please. Please. Can somebody get his number, please? We gotta wrap up. Get some more Zoom. Get his info, please. We gonna build. Let's build.
yeah, so
That's it. Go ahead, King Lawrence.
yeah, so I got one for you, Jay. Two, real quick. So, what's the status on profitability of the Legacy Center? How much is it losing year over year? If you know, if roughly estimate, I don't know.
Well, I don't know that answer, but the Legacy Center actually is gaining year over year.
Okay, so
Yeah, we are on our way to stabilization. Where several months ago we were at 230% revenue increase, but we even increased since that revenue. So we could be near. I don't want to just throw out a number because but we've been increasing year over year, stabilization, more tenants, better team, all that. So I'm anticipating stabilizing the Legacy Center where it's actually cash flow positive for us in the next.
So now with
months.
that, with the change, so the Legacy Center underwent from when it first opened up, primarily being a co-working space. Now we know co-working with people more so working from home, that's really declined. And that's not a Legacy Center thing. That's all over the country. WeWork's closed down, so all these co-working spaces have closed down. Can you talk a little bit about the transition from how much it really impacted the business bottom line and top line when you had to make the change because the memberships were not really there for the co-working space like you thought initially in the business plan, and having to really switch to the event side and the cost of the development of the inside, because you own the property, but then it was a cost to make all of this. Like, this wasn't here. None of this stuff was here. The HVAC, all of those different issues and problems that cost to fund a lot of money.
Yeah.
And put it in profits, right? Because as a company, right, as a fund, you were putting in a lot of money. So could you speak to, like, what's the goal of making Legacy Center profitable? Like, how do we make it profitable? Like, that's the biggest thing. Like, how do we make it profitable to the point where people can get paid out from what they invested? How do we, what's the plan? What's the game plan to make Legacy Center profitable to the point that people can start seeing a return?
Yes. Plan is already heavily in place. We got world-class team here. Again, we have an events venue manager, 30 years with the Hilton brand hotel year, leading this venue, Mr. Greg. He believes we should be at upwards $200,000 a month with this space.
With this space, or $200,000 a month. You times that pretty much by, you take that $200,000, you times that by 12 a year. So you're saying that you expect to be making the Legacy Center should bring in $2.4 million in a year.
That's our goal. That's our goal.
Now,
that's our goal projections.
Exactly. So
but I want to say that. He said that also our sales team has 40 venues under their management. They also made the same. This ain't just Jay Morrison. These are professionals in the industry for years. 40 venues under their management said we should be the same thing, upwards of $180,000 to $200,000 of revenue. Now,
with the goal of potentially, you talked about within the next 5 to 7 years having 20 Legacy Centers. What's the capital that takes for it to be possible?
Very little. It's not capital intensive because we're not investing in those assets.
So to make more Legacy Centers to potentially bring more profit to the fund. So if you make, I'm asking if you make multiple Legacy Centers, you're saying that it could bring back potentially, right, based on estimates, those other Legacy Centers could bring in $2.4 million a year.
Well, they could
and revenue. Now we know that's not profit, that's revenue.
Yeah. Well, no, they would do whatever they do in their markets.
Yeah.
But as a franchisor, we would get 10% of their gross revenue, right? Just for allowing them to use our swag, our models, our systems, our process, all that. So as a franchisor, we get 10% of their gross revenue plus a franchise fee. Yeah. So for us to have multiple LCs around the country, we don't got to pay the operational costs. We just get overrides off all the LCs, which is free money to us, in a sense.
And then as far as this project, with the goal of building homes, houses, how much are you expecting to bring in month to month or year to year on this particular project? And the fund could take back, because really, you notice all my questions that I'm asking is just about revenue being generated, expenses being covered, profit being had and money going back to investors.
100%.
That's it.
I just wanted to chime in because you did talk about your portfolios, like the ones on the wall here. Like what's going on with that? Like, is it making money?
Yeah, many of those deals were loans that we loaned to about a dozen Black developers in 10 different states. And so a lot of those loans have come back. There's some that's still out that we'll get back, that we'll get back as well. So as we recapitalize, we'll keep our private lending arm. And we had a great lending partnership, but because of the scrutiny around us, we lost that partnership. But we'll continue to privately lend and try to earn those same kind of returns as we move forward in that as well.
Oh, okay. I was just curious about that.
Yes, ma'am. Was there more Zoom as well? I think King, go ahead. Yes, sir.
Yeah, how you doing, sir?
I'm well, thank you.
My name is Nathan Daly. I have just a few questions for you. Understanding like the complications as it relates to our community in reference to the propaganda that's been put out. How do you go moving forward on repairing the relationship and also the loss of respect that a lot of people have for the fund and investing? Like, do you have a plan moving forward for that?
Well, one is continue to do the work, but I want to underscore the point to y'all. If we all keep promoting these negative things about the fund and the Legacy Center, it makes it very difficult for the Legacy Center to make money. Right? So if there's negativity around the brand and the fund and these accusations, it makes it very hard for us to perform. How do we get around it? All I can do is continue to do the work.
So let me ask you this.
Yes.
If the investors got together and said to you, they signed a petition to say they prefer you to step down, would that be something you'd be willing to do?
I'm open to any conversation, but right now, we haven't seen any traction from investors at any serious level. I'm talking about even from this recent onslaught of very consistent campaigns that even hacked our email list and all that kind of thing, all those kind of things. We've seen less than 100 redemption requests. Right. Even with all this YouTube and noise and all this kind of things, the mass body of our investor pool have been supportive and is supporting the fund. What's that? Yeah, people are still. We just got capital pledges just yesterday in the heat of this. So the noise says all of this online, but the reality, the data does not show that this is how our investors feel about us.
Okay.
So we keep pressing forward. We keep producing results. We keep marching on. I'm always an open ear to what the investors say, right? Whatever the case is. But there's no kind of I'll just leave it.
No, I respect that. So last question though, for those who don't know, because I've learned about you when you first started this whole venture, this whole journey, and I also invest, so I'm very familiar with the paperwork. Can you speak to your qualifications for those who may not be familiar, those who are watching online? What are your qualifications in business and finance to be able to manage a fund this large or this project?
Sure. My qualifications come from 20 years in real estate and mortgages.
Okay.
Started in mortgages in 2002 as a loan officer and worked my way up to a branch manager of 2 mortgage companies, Liberty State Finance in New Jersey. Also have worked as a developer investor in all those years. Licensed realtor for nearly 10 years in New Jersey. Licensed realtor with Sotheby's International Realty, the world's largest luxury real estate company. And have just been executing and being an entrepreneur for the last 2 decades. Growing a business from scratch in my garage, New Jersey, to the Inc. 5000 twice, understanding infrastructure and business building. And God gave me the idea and vision to execute this fund at this level. And
so you're saying you have the experience to manage a multi-million-dollar fund?
I've never done one before.
Right.
So I do not have the experience of running, nor does anyone have the experience of running a multi-million-dollar, or at least in our community,
correct,
Reg A Tier 2 fund. So this is a new venture for me. Yes.
No, I think one of the biggest issues that I've seen, what I've heard, and from my own research, is the lack of, I guess you would say, expertise when handling this type of project. And so I think that's where a lot of, like this gentleman earlier who came up, I think he was spot on. A lot of questions I was going to ask, he asked them. At the end of the day, I think people are looking at how things are done ethically and how things are done professionally. And there's some questions there that I've seen personally, just from looking at it, just from a investor to an investor standpoint. So what I would just overall, I think what you're doing and the objective is just, I think at the same time, the biggest issue, in my personal opinion, is that we do have a community that's not quite educated and we don't vet people properly. And what I heard today, because I wanted to hear what everybody had to say from their perspective, your response, though, was rooted in the idea, or I would say your explanation was based from a perspective that you don't have the experience, to take on this type of project, but you sold that idea that you were able and capable. And that's, I think, where the disconnect is. Your own explanation is that I made a mistake. I didn't know, I didn't realize. Essentially, to me, what that sounds is that this is somebody who's not qualified to do a project this big on this magnitude with a multi-million-dollar project. That's what I heard from you.
I want to correct that then, so
right.
you can hear correctly.
Okay.
When I say I didn't know, what I'm saying is that in a crowdfunding environment, as a trailblazing fund, our fund was the first Black-owned real estate crowd fund, right? So there's no one living of our descent that knew. No one, right? So is that? Do you think that is an appropriate excuse or justification? No. I'm not saying excuse. I'm just saying the experience.
Okay.
So if it were you that started, let me finish.
Go ahead.
So if it were you that started it, or any one of us here that started it, we all would be new. We all wouldn't have the experience.
But I think anybody with business knowledge and experience and training knows that you don't reinvent the wheel. And so all I heard tonight was you saying I'm reinventing the wheel and I made a lot of mistakes.
No, King.
Yeah.
There was no one with the wheel.
There's no one with the wheel who's done crowdfunding?
That did crowdfunding within our community to non-accredited investors.
So are you saying that the knowledge is not there to actually manage a crowdfunding?
We had in 2018, we had multiple crowdfunding consultants, legally, compliance-wise, accounting-wise, etc. The Jobs Act and crowdfunding was so new, they all were still figuring out. It was an emerging industry. The whole industry was new, King. Right? So I brought those experts in to advise us on how to do this new thing that none of us had done.
Okay.
But none of them have done it in an environment where you're dealing with our people, which is very special.
Very true.
Right? So that's what I'm trying to tell you. There was no wheel of how do you deal with 15,000 majority Black people non-accredited in this environment. There was no wheel to follow. We created and set the wheel.
Okay.
So now the rest of us can leverage that with more wheels so we all can move forward. And that was always my goal, not one fund, but 20, $50 million funds, $1 billion in assets under management and funds with other partners.
Well, I'll say this. I respect the fact that as a man, you came up here to challenge the opposition. I think that's admirable. And, unfortunately, I hate what happened to you after being smeared and the issues with your family. That's unacceptable. But I do respect you coming up here and addressing it head on. I think that's what men do. And I appreciate the work that you're doing.
Thank you, Ken. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
King J, it's about to be midnight. How many more questions we taking? We're gonna take. We got two people here for sure in line. I don't know what we have.
We'll take two online. We'll take two online and two in line.
All right.
Okay.
That's it. Two online, online, in line.
All right. Two online, really quick. How much profit was made from the 25 properties that tref loan transaction funds to?
I don't have that number on top of my head, but it is in our audits per these transactions.
Second question, will Jay show us proof that he paid the fund $800,000 plus $25,000?
Absolutely, and also your proof is in our audit by our third-party auditors who had no irregularities and had verified all this information. They're literally there to verify it, but we'll double verify for our confidence if that's what's necessary. So we'll talk to the team about that. We're not making these things up. These are documents that are in our audits. Thank you online. Thank you guys for streaming in. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to hear me before making conclusions and understand our mission. And again, I want to give clarity. I want to give access, and I wanted to debunk these baseless claims of fraudulent misappropriation, these things within the company. Yes, ma'am.
Peace, King. How are you doing?
I'm well, Queen. Thank you.
Good, good.
Yourself. I'm sorry. Yourself.
I'm well. Thank
Good.
you. My name is Sarai. I live in Atlanta. I've been coming here for a little over a year. And to be frank, I didn't know anything about this fund before a week ago and everything was blowing up. And I just also wanted to publicly acknowledge you because I felt very just heated over the pure scandal and drama that all of this has incited, because
it's embarrassing.
It makes me purely upset because I don't know anything about this fund. I know what I get when I come here, and quite literally, if I knew my money was coming into the Legacy Center and that's all the profit or whatever it was going into, that would be more than enough for me, because I understand and recognize the real impact that this space has alone. Before you get to any of that stuff, like, I truly respect and value the space that you and your family are creating here. So I want to acknowledge that. And I also feel like calling out my people a little bit, because it's amazing to me how we're so quick to hold each other to this high level of accountability, when I'm willing to bet that half of you bank at Wells Fargo, and we know how shady they've been over the last however many years. We all bank there, have banked there, whatever, and nobody's pulling up to the CEO of Wells Fargo or Bank of America or whoever with all of this accountability. We lose money and interest every single day from these people, but y'all have the audacity to come up here and convict this man of things that he's told y'all over and over again. And by the way, I heard you say that you put your own money up to support this fund.
Yes.
That sounds like an accountable person, a trustworthy person to me. So me hearing that, I don't know anything about it, and I want to invest because I didn't know anything about that. So I just want to publicly acknowledge the work that you're doing, because like I said, I come here, I've attended a lot of events here, and I always get something out of this space. So thank you. Bless you and your family. I appreciate you.
God bless you, Queen. God bless you. Again, I got you, King. Again, I'm not trying to say I'm Mr. Perfect Investor, y'all. I'm saying this is a genuine effort to produce for our community. There's no corruption or misappropriation. That's all I'm saying. Like, please stop putting that on my family. Like, if you just think I stink, just say he stinks. But don't put that on us. That's not right. That's not right. That's not fair. Right? So I'm here to head that on. Let's just change that narrative. Like, do that. And I'll address anything else. Like, we can do it privately, whatever, but let's take that narrative out of the picture. Genuinely putting my heart on the line for our people. Yes, sir.
All right, brother. I guess I'll be the last one to close us out tonight.
Do it.
Yeah, so my name's Antoine Davis. I run a branding and marketing firm. I also own some real estate. I'm from Albany, Georgia, too, but I've been up here in Atlanta. I live in East Point. I've been rocking with you since you yelled, "Wake up," in the Maybach. So I've been like since then. And so I had really just kind of one question, just trying to understand from an $11.5 million investment that, all of us have kind of contributed at some level. In your boring kind of style of real estate of just buying residential apartment, 15 unit, 20 unit, 30 unit, just, almost like, I don't want to just use his name, like a Grant Cardone style, just like, hey, we're just going to flip portfolio like this. Not so much something so that requires huge development, a lot of risk, a lot of overhead, a lot of capital induced to do, just 20 unit, 30 unit, 40 unit, 10 unit, 50, 100 unit, like that, just doing that model with the 11 million. I guess I'm trying to see why wasn't that done more, and just because that's cash flow, just apartment units, just churning, very simple. Why wasn't that, or what made you not move in that direction from a strategy standpoint?
We were certainly moving in that direction. Mm-hmm. That's part of why we had the syndication to make it for 98 units, partnering with the developer to do that development, who ended up literally defrauding us. Right. We've invested 14 units in that street in Lake Charles. Mm-hmm. We were looking at other partnerships of development and multifamily spaces as well. Mm-hmm. But what actually, so we were still going there, right? Mm-hmm. And it was just a duality of deploying capital, still raising capital, compliance and reporting, and then I got to deal with smear and undermining and all that at the same time, right? While I'm trying to run the company, right? And so that was a loss of focus and distraction. But we did literally have went after other assets and South Chicago. We've underwritten like over 200 and something deals, right? So went after a lot of these assets. Some we took down, some we didn't. Then when COVID happened with so we decided on Legacy Center first because we saw early that the fund was much heavier to run than even a multifamily asset could produce in cash flow. So I was trying to stop the cash burn from a higher cash flow model from the co-working model, which is very booming coming into 2020. Right. This is a beautiful asset, beautiful space, prime for it, all that. And so we did Legacy Center first while we still were doing Knapp Street in the 98 units, and while we still were doing other developments, and while we're still raising cap, right? So we were doing a lot. Right. Then this happened into the pandemic, which neutralized our cash burn neutralizer. And so then we had to kind of pivot in that. I also want to highlight there are funds that literally have lost money, lost doors, and went bankrupt buying multifamily in the same market. We all act like multifamily is like, oh, you put money in, get it out, it's all good. There are multiple funds that have lost money in the same market on multifamily. Multiple white-owned funds with big boards with all the experience that have lost $128 million in their fund. Right. This is facts, y'all. And we'll send that out too. We act like if you just get a board, you have all this experience and you're just guaranteed to be successful in multifamily. That's not real estate. That's not entrepreneurship. And so, again, still saying, I wish I would have been more intentional, blocked out more noise, had a lot, right? You always watch the game tape and say what I would do different. But when you're in the environment, right? When you're in it day to day, and you're trying to raise capital to reach that goal you had, but then you're trying to deploy capital, and then you're fighting against, and the SEC's coming in and scanning your laptops and emails and all of that, and you're like, what the heck is going on? Right? It's just the environment. But we did our best, more to do, a lot of findings and growing. But we did do some multifamily, and we're pursuing multifamily pretty heavy until we got into this asset as well, and still pursue it for sure as well. Okay, last thing I want to say, and I'm done. I do agree with a couple of people said this, and I know it might be difficult, but in my opinion, I think, I don't know if y'all saw the WeWork situation where Adam Newman, he ended up getting kicked out, and they had to kind of resurface WeWork. I do think because there's so much backlash around you, I do think that is something to really consider from a standpoint of longevity of the fund. If there's a way for you to kind of separate and be a visionary endorser of what's going on, having a team that comes in and can solidify the fund, scale it, grow, you still share vision. I think that just could potentially be the best route for the fund because the enemy is coming after you all in such a vicious way. And like what your wife said, I think was so necessary just to cover you in this environment because it's a heaviness. And, Sean King, he was a pastor of mine. He was on Courageous Church. And I've watched him go through hell in what he's been doing on social media and getting the same kind of attack. So I don't know if that's going to stop. Like, it's hell is coming, but for the work, for the legacy to continue, there may need to be some space created so that you can govern your household and let the vision build in a certain way. So that's my prayer for you so that you have that peace. I receive. Yes, sir. I receive. Give it up for him, please. Let me close this out. That's probably one of my biggest takeaways, y'all. It is that, and I'm open to that. I want a covering. I want more partners. I want to democratize this. This is very, very heavy. Do this consistently for 5 years and keep explaining and showing, improving, and it's heavy, but it's worth the outcome to me. And if not us, who? And if not now, when? So we're going to do. You know what will happen? We get somebody else to do the same thing, and then we're going to throw darts and target them and say XYZ. Maybe they have an easier role because what we already paid. But I am open to all those suggestions. I hear you. I hope that tonight, not only did you hear our heart and those things and our genuineness, but that we've proven factually. I want to say this last where we wrap up. There's another transaction folks have said, I didn't address it earlier, so I want to address it. That, I give myself different interest rates and different terms during COVID and forgiveness and all that. Parsons transaction that we did. We gave multiple borrowers the same par treatment in regards to modifying or amending loans during COVID, right? There was a property that we owned that we refinanced. The fund had financed 28 units of student housing. Student housing took a tank nosedive during the pandemic. And there was the same par treatment that we give everybody. in any transaction that I've been a part of the fund, we offer ourselves. I'm not doing something misappropriating or special self-dealing within a fund. Consistently. Coach Bo, do you mind before you leave? I just want you to say any closing words real quick as we get out. Can you hold it? But just, we done. Thank you all on Zoom. I want Coach Bo to say any closing words from his findings. I thank you all for staying this long. I know I'm not going to quote unquote convince or whatever those who are convinced otherwise. I understand that we can't win everybody, but I do hope those of you who have an open mind and believe in what we're doing, or believe in just fair treatment in group economics, that you all have heard and got clarity, that we debunk something so we can clear the Morrison name tonight, right? That was the goal, to clear our name so you know that we are not doing illegitimate and fraudulent and self-dealing things in the fund. We're literally working for the fund's best interest.
All right. So again, with no horse in the race, I just been listening. And as a coach for him and his wife and their family, I can tell you that this is not a show. I know that personally. I've been associated with them for 2012, right? So as I listen here, I think it's really important that we make this particular distinction. Are we talking about fraud? Are we talking about the mismanagement of funds? Are we talking about a failure of fiduciary responsibility? What we're talking about, from what I've heard, is that there is a man here trying to do something and figure it out on the fly. The biggest problem we have is that our money is involved in that. That there's money there and we're waiting on some sort of return for an investment. And if we don't see that, then we need at least the level of communication about what's going on, the vision and the strategy to go forward. I think I've heard here tonight that if you guys get that kind of information, it'll help kind of shore some things up. But this man has some work to do, and he's committed to doing that work. So I don't know if that means anything particular to anyone here. It's just, as a third party listening, I believe that's what I heard. Is there anything else someone wanted him to hear tonight that he did not hear already? Yes, sir.
How you doing? I'm Glenn Glasper. I know I've been around you for quite a while. It's been said in a way or another, but I just want to say, man, listen, I salute you from the very beginning. I knew it was coming. I knew that, anytime, unfortunately, that we try something on a large scale, it's always somebody coming for us. You've been around, people know your name, you were easy target. You're an easy target. I just want to say, I salute you, brother. Keep doing what you're doing. There's always going to be attacks, but on the other side of that, there's blessings. And I would say that anybody that's a part of this, I'm not a part of the fund. Anybody that's a part of this, give them a chance. And I'm gonna say this, and listen, this is no knock on anybody. If $500 is a problem, you got bigger problems than what he's doing. I'm just gonna say that. I'm just gonna keep it real. $500, that was an opportunity for you all to participate in history being made. Has anybody ever done this before? Nobody ever done this before. So for the people that are throwing darts at him, that ain't never even attempted to look at trying this. I've been doing real estate for 25 years. I've made millions of dollars, but I've made millions of mistakes too, right? It comes with the territory of what we do, right? It's a part of the game. Real estate is a part. If you make mistakes, you figure it out, and you go on to the next thing. You continue to keep going. Keep doing what you're doing, bro.
Thank you, Jay. Appreciate you.
Now listen, we go.
Bro, yeah, go ahead. You said that Black excellence what? Yes. Yeah.
Oh, you want, okay.
Can't hear them. Hear the other people. And it seems like most of the people in here saying, Dad, I gave you my investment and I'm waiting for my return. I ain't got nothing to say. I ain't got nothing to think about your wife. And I'm watching. I've been like the man said, 20 square. Finally, I've been here with the open. I've been here with you had light skinned cat with you.
Light skinned cat, yeah.
Light skinned cat with you.
Me, Isaac, and Will over here. Yup.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hey, King Jack. Listen, family, we're gonna close it out now. I know everyone's not believers, but if there are believers here who believe in what we're trying to do, I would like to cover this family.
Yes.
I'd like to pray for them. So if you guys wouldn't mind joining us, listen, don't feel any obligation. If you're ready to go, have a great evening. We love you. Thank you for coming out and challenging us this way.
Yeah. I want to remind everyone. Yeah, please do. I want to remind everyone too, TulsaRealEstateFund.com. You guys can join our capital pledge list if you're interested in the future of this movement, despite all the adversity. TulsaRealEstateFund.com for that, and just continue to push and support us where you can. Thank you.
All right. Anybody who'd like to pray, you're welcome to please come up. Please. Just need one. No. Come on, y'all. No. I'm gonna pray them. I just won't listen. There's power in community where one can put 1,000 to flight, 10,000. How many more so can we do here? Right? So we're just going to bow our heads just momentarily. Father, we thank you for this opportunity tonight. Father, we thank you for the level of accountability that you've brought us to, Lord. Father, we ask you to cover this particular family, cover this particular fund and all the families associated with it, God. Attacks are coming and they'll continue to come. Please fortify their minds and their hearts, Lord. Help them figure out new creative strategies to build with the community, Lord. And Father, we just want to thank you right now for covering their health, Lord, for covering their finances, God, for covering their union, God, and their family, their blessed little daughter, God. Father, we just want to thank you right now in your holy son, Jesus' name, for the opportunity to declare those things and to call them into existence. With that said, Lord, we just want to praise you and praise your holy son's name. And we thank you, Lord, in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you all.
Thank you, family. Thank
Recording stopped.